Hello, Philadelphia! I'm Bruce Buffer. It's time for the Anthony Gargano Show!
Good morning! Good morning, everybody. Well, happy Tuesday to all across the Delaware Valley. This is the Anthony Gargano Show, and as always, we are presented by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Just go to truemark.com/PHLY to find out about the credit union difference. All right, so what a wild sports night last night, right? We got all kinds of stuff that happened last night. Let's discuss in order. First, closest to home, the Fighting Phillies. They just don't disappoint. Every night, there's something, right? And last night, just a triple play. First in the majors this season, a 1-3-5 triple play, as Harry would say. Nola gets the 99th win of his career. And one of the things that was fascinating is that if you look at them and you look at what happened, they just pound teams into submission, right? Like when you get that kind of thing, like they have won these games, like the last three of them, by a score of 24-3. I mean, that's pure dominance. 24-3. The Phillies have outscored Arizona twice and Detroit yesterday. Just an amazing display of dominance. And we saw Bryce get hot, right? Bryce is starting to heat up. Funny, I told you Saturday I was with Charlie Manuel. Charlie came to Massimo's, my son's Little League game, right? So he comes, he's at the field, right? And then I drive him back because he had a game at 4. So I drive him back to the hotel, and we're talking. He goes, Anthony, Bryce is about to heat up. And this was Saturday before the game. And Bryce has heated up. It's uncanny. I go, man, I texted him last night after Bryce's game, and I go, dude, nobody knows the game like you. Your feel. When you got that old school feel, like he could just sense when a player gets hot. And Bryce is on a heater. I mean, he unbelievable last night. They are, how about this? Because I can't get enough of what their Bohm goes yard, right? 52-26 now. 52-26. So I had a game last night. Moss had a game last night. It was a district Little League game. So I see my buddy Rock, and we're talking to Phillies. I'm giving him updates of the game. And right away, and this is something about us that with this team, we just got to put to the side. He's like, you know what? It's great, but I have a nagging feeling. Oh, what's your nagging feeling? What possibly could you invent that's bad with this squad? Well, the Braves the last 2 years were dominant, and look what happened. If the Braves beat us in the NLCS, I'm going to go hang myself. I was like, dude, you can't even think about playoffs. You just got to ride this, thoroughly enjoy this regular season. This regular season is just a blast, right? You can't have one eye for October. As much as we all want that, and that's certainly and obviously the goal, you can't think about that. You can't do it. So you just got to enjoy this ride. Like, you got to stay in the moment. There's always an old saying about the today, right? And about how tomorrow's never promised, and the past is the past. When it comes to this Phillies team, stay in the moment. It's the best way to enjoy this season. Don't think about October. They're going to be set up fine, but you can't handicap it. You can't figure it out. We see the uncertainty of sport, right? Yesterday alone, let's take here was Florida. They're down. They're up 3-0 in that series. And now they got to go to a game 7. And I'm thinking, how about you? I'm thinking oil all the way, especially early. And then, right, Bob plays well. He had been horrible, right? Florida wins Fugazi Cup because there's no fans down there. And then yesterday in the Italy-Croatia soccer match, that thing, so Croatia had to win or they're out. Italy just had to tie. So they were playing like very soft and like very defensive. Croatia scores, and then it's this mad rush. And Italy winds up scoring to get the tie and then to move on with like 3 seconds or 2 seconds left in the entire match, in extra time. Penalty time, whatever you want to call it. Whatever, I'll ask JP in a second. But like, that's just mysterious, right? Like, this stuff happens. So my only point about bringing these two events up is you can't think about October. It's impossible to know, and especially baseball, because of the randomness of baseball. So just enjoy this piece of it. Enjoy having the most dominant team. It's amazing because it's the Phillies, it's the Dodgers, and it's the Yankees, right? It's those 3 epic teams that are clearly better than everyone else in baseball. So tomorrow, guys, the NBA draft. And we're going to get into a big discussion on the process because now we have marked over a decade that the process, if you want to say it ended a few years ago, whatever you want to call it, the process is just an ongoing. As long as Joel Embiid is here, the process lives. That was his nickname, the whole thing. We're gonna go through with the NBA draft tomorrow night. We're gonna go through the layers of the process and ask that question: would you go through it all over again? Now, I was a huge proponent of the process. I raised my hand. I was a huge proponent of the process. Would I do it again? Yeah, hell yeah. They were stuck in purgatory. 8 seed, 9 seed, right? Your ceiling was the 7 seed. They're stuck. And the way the league was configured, barring some getting lucky in the draft, and you're able to pluck out a star in the NBA draft, which is like the complete crapshoot of all crapshoots, you're stuck. So I had no problem pushing the reset button. The issues come in how it was handled. So we're going to go chapter and verse on the process, and I'm curious to see where you guys line up with it and whether you guys would do it again. I know there's some people that want to do it again right now by trading the big fella. I would not do that. People have been hammering me. You got to move on. You got to do it now while he's got a semblance of value. I'm building a team. I'm going to build the rest of this team I want to try to win and see where we're at. So we'll dive into the process and whether or not we'd still do that. That's coming up. This was Pop It Off with Olipop, your favorite soda that's good for you. Promotes gut health. You can find it at Wawa, Whole Foods, you name it. Olipop. Good morning. A happy JP. Speaking of soccer, your Colombian squad won yesterday, so congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Nice.
Buenos dias, everyone.
Buenos dias to you. I think you're happy. VG versus Greg. Morning, the Oils.
Rough night last night. The Oils, I got crushed betting. Brad, I parlayed Brad's picks, and goddamn Lance Lynn.
Dude,
I kidding me with this guy?
Right? I thought of you and Brad. So I'm looking at Lance Lynn pitched against the Braves.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at him like, wow, like he's pitching well.
Yeah.
Because I always check the
Pitch
Braves.
count was low.
Yeah, I always check the Braves. Like, I don't know. It's just ingrained, like every night. Like there's certain teams I always follow on my ESPN. I'm at the Little League game. And I'm looking. And dude, I thought of you because he pitched. I think he's a
You
gas
put
kid.
the parlay in my head. You're like, I'd parlay those 2 picks.
I did. I'm sorry. What was the other one?
Rag is KC pitcher. Yeah, that worked out.
He had a bunch of strikeouts, right?
Yeah. And then I also parlayed the Paisans to win with Spain yesterday, and they ended up with that last minute tie, the draw. My bad. The draw. Yeah.
So you picked them to win, or did
I hit Italy to win.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That game was wild.
That was crazy. It was over, done, kaputs.
You know, but here's some I have a tough time getting used to. JP, no clock. Like it feels a little like
subjective.
Yes,
the ref's just hanging out.
Right,
Yeah,
like,
we're about 8 minutes.
Yeah,
in.
like what is that, JP? Like I want to see a clock. I want to see how many. Like I know you hold up 7 minutes, right?
Yeah,
Like,
the injury time.
right.
The injury time, yeah.
Stoppage time, whatever. It's called injury time.
Yeah, so because, like, obviously, listen, we all know how soccer is. Players do like to waste some time. There are some injuries, whether they be real or not, but time gets wasted. So
The best is the writhing in pain. I know, like
it's like they got shot in the leg.
I know. Oh my God.
So at the end of each half, the ref now has to determine how much time was wasted. And so as a fan, you have to go on your phone and get the stopwatch and you have to go off
But
your
why would like this is something I don't understand. We live in 2024. All right. Why wouldn't anytime there's a stoppage in play, you have a clock that goes, right?
Listen, because you're making too much sense right
All
now.
right. And then you have another clock that's the game clock, right?
I'm with
And
you.
then everybody knows, hey, it's 6 minutes and 27 seconds. Now you're exact, right?
Yeah.
And now it's all above board. You're seeing it. Now I know that, like, far from me, I'm a fugazi of the first. So I understand. If I'm a soccer fan, I'm like telling myself to shut the bleep up, right? You don't know what you're talking about. But I'm asking you, why wouldn't you do that?
I mean, I'm agreeing with you. I mean, there's a lot of things in soccer that we still need to work on. That is definitely one of those things. But we also we don't have video review down packed either, and that's something that the NFL has worked so well. VAR is so
Go to that bar. That's sweet.
still has a lot of work to do with the VAR. But listen, it's a great sport. It's a beautiful game. But
It
we
is.
still have
Forget-
a lot,
forget-
of,
well, I know
it's a
we still have
pack
a
of
lot
it.
of things to work on now.
But I get the feeling now. I'm like a Zamboner with the hockey or the soccer.
Me too. Zamboni.
I get the feeling that if it's 7 minutes of extra time and we're in 7 minutes approaching 8, if a team is making a push,
Yeah,
they let it go.
That's another
They
thing
don't
too.
just stop it. They let the push happen.
Yeah. So if they feel
Like, what's that about?
Yeah.
Just
It's
give
like
him a
it's like a
chance.
feeling of, well, I'll give him a shot.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? Like, I'll give him a shot.
Well-
You can't just give him a shot.
That's how.
It's got to be a clock. It's got to be exact.
Yeah, I agree. Like they just can't hook up a clock to whatever the ref's holding, so we all know what he's looking
Yeah,
at.
and by the way,
shooter.
and all you got to do is the minute the guy is hurt, that clock starts.
Yeah.
Then the play resumes, the clock stops. And then it keeps going and going and going. And then you know exactly the amount of time
Yes.
that you have to play with. Like, what is the problem?
But it adds to the drama too, because look at you now as a fan. You're like sitting there, you know, your butt cheeks are tight, right? And you're like wondering when the hell is
I
this
want
game
to
gonna
know
end?
when the thing's going to end. I need the expiration
Yeah.
of the clock.
Give me a clock with a buzzer.
Mystery comes.
Yeah, and no buzzer.
Yeah,
Give me a
I do
horn.
like a buzzer. That is pretty. That is fun.
Because if you're on defense and the team's got a flurry going on, you got to be like, oh my god, we got to be past 8 minutes at this point.
Well,
We got to be
that's
at
what
9
they're doing.
minutes.
They're also yelling at the refs. Who like, ref, call the
Yeah.
freaking game like it's done. It's
So
been 7
weird.
minutes.
Yeah, that's I don't
Way
understand
too
that.
subjective.
Is it not like positioning on the pitch? Like I feel like if they're in a certain progression, if they're in a certain progression towards the end, that's why they don't allow it. They allow that
They allow
that
that
attack
one.
to happen to give them the chance.
And once the play is done, that's when they typically call it. But
Yeah.
they give that grace. I
Yeah, but if
guess.
you're like
But I'm
center
with you.
pitch,
I
they'll-
agree with you. That they need to have that separate clock so we all can know. None of this extra stuff. If it's 7 minutes and you're in the middle of a play, it's done. You had your chance. You had 90+ minutes to get.
Well,
this,
that's just
this
the point.
result.
Like, all I want to know is like what's going on. Like
You're spot on, cuz.
But the way it ended, like, so Croatia is leading the whole game. I have a friend of mine, dear friend of mine, Marko Dundovic. All
Oh,
right,
that's a Croatian name.
right,
Divic.
and He's got the big, and he's a big guy. He's got hands. Like you think
cinder
my
blocks.
hands are big. His hands are like twice the size of my thick, big hands. He could just strangle you, like squeeze the life. He could pick Carson up with one hand and squeeze him, right? So, and he's a gentle giant, right? And he has his Croatian flag shirt.
The checkerboard.
Yeah. So, and he's watching the game. So they all go to there's a cafe in South Philly.
Okay.
Where all the Europeans go. Like there's a lot of Italians from Italy, right?
Oh, that's cool.
The Albanians,
Yeah,
like
that's pretty
all the
cool.
like that kind of community will go to this cafe. And so they were all there yesterday. I have all Mr. Tony, right? Or my buddy from Aroma, who has a great restaurant. My man Sal, like all the Italians are there, and Marco. And Mark's got the big Croatian flag, and he's like, everybody wants to kill me. And then they come, like they score. Yeah. And like then for him to lose, I was like, I actually felt bad. Like obviously I'm rooting Italy.
Yeah.
But I felt bad. Like you lose like that. I never saw anything like that in
It's the
soccer.
worst way to lose.
And again, they scored, and what was there? Why do they even do the kickoff afterwards? Like the game's over.
It's over.
As soon as they kick the ball to start play again, they just blows the whistle. It's like,
Ref
what's
was
the point of even
lollygagging there.
doing that?
Let's
I
give
know.
him an extra chance. Might have a chance here. Make it
Yes,
special.
so confusing.
I know it's crazy, but it was so interesting. It's like then you have
The Croats were throwing bottles like
they were crazy.
plastic cups every time there's a corner kick with the
that
Italians.
was nuts,
I
man.
hate that.
They talk about Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Our fans, they're wild.
I hate that.
Do you ever see these European like basketball games? Like
Oh yeah.
they're wild.
like
I love
Thunderdome.
that. The flares, the jumping up and down in unison, like
they
that stuff's
throw
awesome.
things
Yeah.
like
Well, I don't like that.
it's nuts. Like they're insane.
Well,
They almost want to play with the one. I forget which nation it is where the games are in like a steel cage. Like they have to have a
I
cage.
don't even know this one.
No, there's a cage over the court, like a dome of a cage. So
Is this MMA or is this?
no, it's basketball. It's like you need to or maybe it's this like street. Like think about like behind home plate, like a foul screen.
Yeah.
Right, like it's that kind of thing.
Okay.
Crazy stuff.
I hate
Then
the
we had the hockey game. How about you? You, Mr. Oil King.
The pub was filled. I went to a local pub. They actually had Quizzo going on at the same time, but 21 teams came out, and everyone was into the hockey game. There was 2 guys in Panthers jerseys, loud all night, but the rest of the pub was pulling for Edmonton.
What's that about, dude? Like, how did you ask? You're like a.
What's he going to ask me? Why am I wearing an Edmonton hat?
Yeah, but you get Edmonton.
Yeah.
Like Edmonton's in
The whole bar was Edmonton, except these 2 guys.
of course you'd want to root for Edmonton.
Yeah.
Edmonton's hockey.
Yeah.
Like if you have any kind of sports sensibilities, like it's about sports justice for me, right?
Yeah.
Sports justice is Edmonton wins. They care about the team. They love this team, and they're playing for a whole nation.
The arena was weak last night. The fans and
weak.
stuff for Game
A lot
7.
of celebrities, too. A lot of celebrities.
Baldy was in there.
Lots of celebrities.
Baldy was there.
He's gonna give us a great story, isn't he?
Who were also the other celebrities? The B-listers.
Your boy Chuck, Charles Barkley was
Yes.
there. Charles
Yeah.
Barkley was there.
He's a huge hockey fan.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is.
I was texting with him one night, and we were watching. It was during the NHL finals, maybe Stanley Cup finals or conference finals, and something about it. So you watching this game? He goes, "Oh yeah," he goes, "I love it because I forget who it was. Like he's like, I need the Bruins, you know."
Of course.
I was cracking up. It was the best. So I'll ask you, like, when you look at last night and you see how it was a thrilling game. I mean, for a game, it was a great game. It was low score. It was tight. It was, butthole tight.
Yeah, and McDavid came up small. The Panthers are. Yeah, it was almost like a battle of. In a way, if Connor McDavid and then blew it up last night and won 5-1, then I worry about Jonesy's blue line defense theme. But the defense won out last night. Panthers were active with their sticks around the goal. They were clogging the middle. They couldn't get an open shot all night, the Oilers.
It's all about the defense and forecheck, VJ.
Defense came through and won in the end.
Well, and I do think and they're going to trade up in this draft that's coming up. I got to believe they're trading up for a blue liner.
There were 2 trades for both of our teams this week, Sixers and Flyers.
Sixers, my guess, they'll trade that pick as a part of something else. First of all, you have to trade the pick.
Yeah.
It's a useless pick for them in the sense that you need to win now.
You need a lot of bodies too.
You need to win now. And you're right. You need to fill out an entire team. So they have to trade that pick.
Yeah.
And it should have some, somewhat of value.
Yeah, I think you can get a player at 16. I think you get a body that helps you 10, 12 minutes a game. You don't think?
No, not in this draft.
Yeah.
It's a close your eyes and throw the darts. There's a couple kids that I think are promising, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can't get anybody that's going to help you win. We were talking about it yesterday. You win in this league with men, with guys that have been.
I'm glad you say that. I got my eye on one.
Oh, yeah?
Tristan Da Silva, 23-year-old, Colorado. Nice stroke from the outside. Plays a little D. He's not super athletic.
He's been in college basketball for 30 years.
Yeah. He had a great tournament. Yeah. He's a man. He'll come in and play 10 minutes.
He's the Jaden Daniels of the college basketball.
Yeah, they're not.
That's what I'm hoping they get if they.
Yeah,
pick.
they're not going to. I mean, to me, it's a 90% chance, 95% chance.
Dogs, you guys with cojones on this team.
I see people in the chat talking about the Oilers need more offense. I have to disagree. I've watched this team all year when the Flyers weren't playing. Their blue line's average, but Skinner always gives up easy goals, and he gave up one last night. He's just not in the net.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. Like we talk about building the Flyers. Oh, by the way, you still need a goaltender.
Yeah.
You're going to need a number one center. I'm spoken like a man who's never seen a real goaltender.
I got Brizgalov to hang my hat on.
I got more hopes for the Russian.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it.
Fedotov,
I don't know.
Or Koloslav.
He is massive, though.
Yeah.
He is massive. All right. One of the things I want to get to is the Phillies with you guys.
Yeah.
So last night, the triple play, a 1-3-5 triple play.
What was McKinstry doing?
Yeah,
he's like a little kid, a little leaguer, just balls hit. I'm just tearing down.
Yeah.
Dude, it was funny. I have this conversation with Massimo all the time. Read the play. You got to read the play. Don't leave the base until you read the play.
Did he just not realize did not hit the ground? Because dude was just blazing down third base.
As great as that play was, it's like, what are you doing?
Oh, yeah, no, think about it, right? And that was early in the game.
Third base coach just turning around what the hell?
What are you doing?
Right, because you got to, I mean, it's insane. We got, speaking of third base coaches, right?
Yeah.
And guys on third. Last night in the Little League District playoffs, we're up 5-3.
Okay.
Right? Sack fly. Kid hits a sack fly. Don't you know they take the run off the board?
Leave too early?
They said he left too early.
Oh, man.
Now,
classic Little League mistake.
No. Because my man, the head coach is the third base coach, Coach Matt. Now, Matt, there's no way Matt would let him leave early, right? There's 2 umpires. 2 umpires. How's he going to see a ball to center when it's caught and on third and when the kid leaves on
Head
third?
on a swivel, man.
The kid, he got no view. First of all, the home plate umpire made the call, and he's at home plate.
Kid was runnerish.
Stop. They ran us out of and we went up losing. Took the run off the board and gave us the out.
Fix that game, cuz.
It was home cooking.
Hey, man, you got to enforce those laws, those rules. You can't let that kid leave
He
early.
didn't leave early. Fugazi. All right. I wish I could go to VAR. What do they call VAR? VAR.
It was your boy Veerling hitting that triple play.
I know. Dude.
You always get fired up at Veerling. Veerling and Maton.
Yeah, how can we trade Veerling and Maton, cuz?
Certain things. I love. One of the things I miss, and we got to figure this out, and we're working on it, is calls.
Yeah.
Because I love talking to our fans.
Yeah.
I love talking to all. It's so much fun, batting this stuff around every day. But there are certain topics that drive me insane. Little picky things. And the Maton Veerling love. Now, listen, did Soto work out? No. All right, he hasn't worked out. Yeah. So I get, But those kids stink. All right? God bless them. nice kids, but like they stink. Like why do we go overboard craziness?
Because they're like underdogs. They came out with no pedigree. They had a couple of nice shots, a couple nice
give 'em some
games,
big
and
moments.
people.
That's our problem.
Yeah,
We worship the underdog.
yeah,
And the grunt,
the whole Eagles thing,
and the kid that doesn't have all the talent.
yes,
Like
yes.
I get it, but that's not how you win.
It's like me getting a Tony Roten jersey, 21 years old, and yes, I did do that. Unfortunately,
Yeah. That's right. That's exactly it. It's you got all these people trade and B, do this, but meanwhile they love Tony Roten. It was a big piece of it.
yeah.
And don't forget the Soto trade. We got Clemens.
Yes. Yeah.
Hey,
I mean, listen,
you mentioned the 3 teams that are like in contention this year for the World Series. So basically, the top 5 teams with wins are also the top 5 in earned run average. So it's really pitching. I mean, as much as we're raking, Phillies are number 1 with ERA 3.07, and then it's Yankees, Dodgers, Orioles, Guardians. That's it.
I mean, you think about it, right? Their rotation has just been unbelievable. So with it was interesting because Dombrowski goes back to Detroit, where he really made his bones. And I mean, have you seen the GM do a better job? I almost think he's underrated in this sense because Middleton will spend.
Yep.
It's almost like you take points off of that about the job he's done. But in some ways, it's even more difficult. I mean, it's great to have that resource, but it's challenging. It's a different type of challenge to make sure you're not wasteful with it.
You know what else too, cuz is like I remember when we first got Dombrowski, a lot of people were telling me, he's like, "Oh, you guys are gonna lose all your best prospects. He's gonna trade them all away." I mean, cuz we're really good, and like we haven't really, given away our top prospects.
No, he's
done
actually
a great job.
No, he's done a great job at building the system. Remember, the system was a problem under Clentac.
Oh yeah,
because of how it was taught, the like overindulgence in analytics,
Launch angles.
right? And Dombrowski has come in and he's presided over the whole thing, and he's righted the system. And I you look at those moves, like building this team. It's just a great job, man.
Taiwan's his only blemish, really. I mean,
and you get why. Like you get why
you're
you
looking
do
for
that.
an innings eater.
Yeah.
we went from an historically terrible bullpen to a really good one over the last 2.5 seasons. Obviously, we have to finish this one, but he's done a really good job reshaping that bullpen too.
Yeah. Now he and what I like about him too is he's after arms. Now we've also seen Ranger and Sanchez come in their flourish.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, tonight, Ranger and Scooble.
Oh,
there's a pitcher's duel tonight. Two of the best
I got
young
that
arms.
down right here.
Yeah.
So Tariq Scooble, people don't know him. He is unbelievable. He's like, now this predates us, but when Steve Carlton the Phillies were woeful in 72, horrible, except when Carlton pitched.
Yes.
Right? And like he was unbelievable. Like he would actually, it was Steve Carlton, it was win day. He was unbelievable. Scooble's the same way. He's a lefty. In fact, he reminds you, he's a power lefty. He's got great stuff. And against Ranger, it's good. It's a really good ball game tonight.
By the way, when you brought up the athletes you wish you would have seen, that's one of them I wish I would have seen.
Carlton?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys tell me all these stories. I wish I would have seen Carlton.
Yeah, no, he was, dude. So I was funny. I was just talking to Charlie about this.
Yeah.
So he had basically 2 pitches. He had a fastball and just a wicked slider. He threw a curveball, but his slider was unbelievable. Like if you were a lefty, you couldn't touch it. And he had a tail on his fastball. He threw hard. And he had a tail on his fastball. He was just a power lefty. Like power lefties are the toughest to hit.
I'm trying to look. Was it 72? I'm trying to figure out. He had 27 wins.
And
the Phillies had 59.
59. Is that unbelievable? Think about that. They had 59 wins and he had 27. 27.
Yeah.
27.
He's insane.
And how about it? He went, I mean, how many complete games? Back then, they all finished games.
Yeah.
He's probably thrown 160 pitches.
They were dead last in that year, 72 in the East. Manager Frank Lucchese.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy?
We had some of the best power lefties in this city.
Man,
Holmes,
Boa was on that
Carlton.
squad. He must have hated that year.
Oh my God, can you imagine? Bo
We gotta get him. We gotta talk about that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bo just chewing
We'll
out
get
the
Bo
teammates.
to talk about that. I'd like to hear what Bo Adamas has to say about that. All right, we get the brain coming up at 10 o'clock. Derek Bodner will join us from the All PHLY Sixers show, and we're going to dive deep into the process.
Oh boy.
All right? So all of us, I want to kind of bat it around deep into it. Like, I love Hinkie.
Mm-hmm.
I always love Sam.
Yeah.
But I look back on Sam needed to do a better job unearthing. He had all those resources. You got to get something out of Europe.
Hey, can I give one Mishkov update?
Yeah.
Because I have a friend who she works in visa at a law firm that helps athletes get their visas. So she's just giving me a heads up that he's probably going to apply for one of these P1A visas. And she says currently they're processing it 2 months. So we'll see him in 2 months.
2 months.
Yeah. If everything goes right. She says Russians can be fickle, but because he's such a huge, prominent athlete, it shouldn't be difficult to get him through.
All right,
so
2
months.
2 months.
Yeah.
All right. Not as quick as the southern border, but
yeah, slightly slower.
All right. But 2 months not bad.
Going through those visas suck. I'm telling you. As a Union fan, it's not fun.
All right. All right.
fun at
Well,
all.
why don't you hit us what's happening, buddy?
All right, guys. Let's talk real quick about our friends over at Shady Rays. Guys, we feels like we're in the middle of summer, right? But we still have a little ways to go. But guys, now that it's summertime, I want to make sure you guys are not only protecting those eyeballs because it's important, but I want you guys styling and profiling, all right? I don't want you breaking the bank either. That's why we're talking about Shady Rays, all right? Because they have quality, but you're not breaking the bank with these sunglasses. And take it from me as a sunglass nut, you want to get your hands on a pair of these sunglasses. But don't take it from me. Take it from over 300,000 people that have rated Shady Rays 5 stars or more. And you know what the best part about Shady Rays is, guys? Is that, look, we've all been there, right? You have your pair of sunglasses. It's a beach day. You happen to unfortunately sit on them. You lose them in the water, and boom, you lost your sunglasses. What Shady Rays does, though, if you're in that little situation, they will replace them there for free. Guys, nobody is doing that. Only Shady Rays, all right? And, of course, we always have you hooked up with that promo code. Right now, guys, if you use that promo code PHLY, it's at the bottom left of your screen here on YouTube. You'll get 35% off polarized sunglasses. Again, promo code PHLY, 35% off polarized sunglasses. Guys, nobody's doing that. Head on over to shadyrays.com right now. And while we're speaking of summer, guys, listen, summertime, we're at barbecues, we're at picnics, we're getting hoagies at the baseball game, right? So you guys need something to wash that down and stay refreshed. Want to make sure you guys are staying refreshed and staying healthy with our friends over at Olipop. Guys, we love Olipop here at the studio. You have VG's rocking the lemon lime here today. And guys, the reason why we love Olipop is because it's the world's first functional soda, but it still has that classic soda taste that we all grew up with. So you can stay healthy and still have something that tastes amazing like Olipop, all right? It has the benefits of plant-based fiber, prebiotics, and other botanical ingredients that supports that gut health. That's important, guys. And this can of soda has 2 to 5 grams of sugar with 9 grams of fiber. My health nuts love that fact of it. And they're available in over 30,000 different retailers, including our favorite, Wawa. Get your cup of Joe in the morning, get your Olipop for lunch. Nothing better than that. But you can also find it at Target, Sprouts, Wegmans, ShopRite. Get it delivered with GoPuff. You name it, Olipop is available here for you. And of course, again, we got you hooked up with that promo code. When you use the promo code PHLY20, you'll get 20% off your next Olipop order. Keep in mind, though, this discount only applies to one-time orders, not to subscription orders. Olipop is sold online at drinkolipop.com and on Amazon. So, guys, for dinner tonight or for your next picnic, whatever it may be, consider choosing an Olipop.
I like it. This portion of the show brought to you by the Bet Park Sportsbook and Casino app. Look at this. We're talking about Carlton. So Uncle Frank checks in.
What's up, Uncle
Lefty
Frank?
won the Triple Crown that year. 27 wins, most of the majors. 310 strikeouts.
Wow.
Most of the majors. And an ERA of 197.
That's insane.
Are you going to be like those? That's numbers are ridiculous,
It's
right? Like ridiculous.
not even human.
190,
He is not human.
310 strikeouts. Like that's unheard of.
No.
Wow.
Absolutely
Wait,
not.
you know how many innings he did that year?
How many innings?
346 innings. Wow.
346 innings.
Holy.
Yeah,
Like, you were talking about innings eater. Like, he's an aardvark.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you got to be kidding me. Now, in today's game, how it's translated, you look at Nola. That was his 99th win yesterday. Nola has been a rousing success.
that is.
Like, he might have a start every few starts, every few weeks. He'll get lit up a little bit or get banged up a little bit. But overall, I mean, we lose we lose our sight with Nola sometimes.
Okay.
I believe that. I don't know why we do, but he's an above average pitcher.
Yes.
He's easiest number 2. I mean, like, I'm not a WAR guy. I think this is a good WAR number. His career is a 33 WAR. I think that's pretty good.
Yes.
I'm not sure, but
We had this conversation the other week. I apologize. Aaron Nola, and I know we haven't talked about, where we put these guys in the pecking order and the rotation, right? But Aaron Nola, I have trust in him in the come playoff time. But listen, I feel like with Aaron Nola, I think it's what you said. People just feel that, every couple of starts, when he has those bad starts, that's when people start, railing on him a little bit.
he has blow up innings. And then he also doesn't look cool. He sweats a lot. He looks like he struggles sometimes on there,
We're so
Because Zach and Ranger are just smooth, and
Zach
Nola's a sweaty mess out there.
Wheeler is a horse, right? Like, Wheeler's a horse, and Suarez is just not human, right? Like, he doesn't, like your point, he's got no pulse, and Nola's human, and we are such a slave to optics. Like, our optics. That's why we were talking about why Cole Hamels wasn't loved.
Yeah.
I will say this: when he's wheeling and dealing, it is fun watching Aaron Nola because it's just like simultaneously the knuckle curves.
Well, he's working fast, right? And his
good
stuff.
to watch.
Like, his stuff moves.
Yeah.
He's got good movement on his stuff.
Yeah, he does.
You're laughing because you're
Yeah,
always
I just know.
been
Like, if I Google image Aaron Nola right now, I bet you it's just his hair's all sweaty looking. He looks like he's struggling out there, but. And then, like, when he goes bad, he has that one inning. It's usually it's a bad inning.
I know.
And it's that bad inning overshadows the other 5 good innings because the one bad one looks bad.
The NBA draft is tomorrow, and of course, that's brought to you by Big Story Today. It's brought to you by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Check out TrueMark.com/PHLY to see the credit union difference. Now, look, we have the dueling interns. My niece Mia,
It showed up a little tardy today.
she was tardy. She was
Oh, the old traffic. Yeah.
Carson was on
Versace
time.
drove in. He didn't hit any traffic.
Versace was on time now. Now, Versace this morning hits us with Jamal Charles
Yes.
as his best running back
Ever.
Yeah.
Not just his favorite.
Not Barry
Wait.
Sanders.
Not his
Jim
favorite.
Brown,
The best running
right.
back ever.
I wouldn't even say he's the best running back in Chiefs history.
No, Christian Okoye would be.
Do you think he knows Christian Okoye though?
I don't know. Maybe.
No.
He's shaking his head.
Yeah?
You do know Christian Okoye?
What's his nickname? Fat.
Big and fat.
The Nigerian nightmare. He's big
they
and
used to call
fat.
him halfbacks, right? Back then, he was a halfback.
He was.
big and fat.
Yes, he was a halfback. He was not a fullback. He was a big back,
Yeah.
but he was a halfback. That's funny. The halfback fullback thing. You remember that, dude?
Yeah. Little Tom Rathman.
Well, it used to, because everybody ran out of the I formation.
Yeah.
So you run out of the I, and you had your fullback, right? Your lead
Shoulder
blocker.
pads,
all
like
those formations,
3 feet
though.
wide.
Right. And then everybody went to the one back. And I remember
Single eye, yeah.
here, when we went to the one back, everybody would complain. You got to have the fullback in there. You got to have the I back, the blocking back.
We want a meathead in there, like pounding people with their head.
I used to love Fred Weaver, and then his injury was disgusting.
Fred Weaver.
Fred Weaver.
Remember his injury?
Wow. You love Fred Weaver.
Yeah, it was a young one. Yeah. Was that 2009?
Where did he come from? What team?
Seattle?
Very good.
Wow.
You are a true Weaver man. That's impressive.
I also think, was he like our last fullback technically? I think Doug wanted to try to implement in 2016.
Yeah,
but we
I'll
never
tell you
really
one
found
thing. Boldy and I were talking about this. The fullback in the NFL
Yeah.
is coming back.
Really? You think so?
Well, there's several teams.
There's a couple teams I know have one on the roster. I know the Niners,
Ravens,
the Packers.
right? Packers, the Niners. Like,
I don't see anything wrong with it. Like, you can
Juszczyk is an important figure. You know, when Shanahan was building that team, the first guy he signed was Kyle Juszczyk.
Kyle Juszczyk?
Yeah.
I don't know the name.
You know him. It's always you'll recognize the spelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kyle Juszczyk. It's like with a J, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the best fullbacks, but they're listing a lot of running backs
Like
with it.
ALLCITY, baby.
Yeah, ALLCITY was a great
go
one.
back. They called it WD-40. And that was Warwick
I did not know that.
Warwick Dunn,
Oh my
who
God.
was the speed back, and Allstott was the big back.
Yeah.
And he wore number 40. So they used to call it WD-40.
Warwick Dunn loved having to split the backfield with the big back, because then in Atlanta he had, what's his name?
That's where the original Thunder and Lightning.
DJ Duckett, I think it was.
The Thunder and Lightning was like, that was a big deal to have Thunder and Lightning.
Yeah, I know this name now that you.
You know. Yeah. But he was their first guy that Shanahan got when he was building that roster.
DJ Duckett.
Which is interesting. You watch Harbaugh with the Chargers. He'll have a fullback. Guaranteed he'll have a fullback.
I can see that.
You know exactly what he's going to do. And he's going to run, and like, they're going to run the ball. There's certain tenets, basic football tenets. And I was having this conversation with Spags not long ago, that never go out. Like, even if teams go away from it, if you actually always run the ball, you're going to win.
Yeah, I agree.
It never goes out of style. I mean, it goes out of style, but it's still effective.
Yeah.
And I'm always envious of those teams.
Well, I'm fascinated by we got Saquon Barkley. Like, the Eagles are going to have Saquon Barkley. We get to watch him. That's going to be so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about Thunder and Lightning. He's both in one.
Yes.
Lorenzo Neal.
Wow, that's a good one.
Lorenzo.
He was a Charger.
Sam Gash.
He was a Charger.
LaDainian Tomlinson.
Yeah. What did you say? You said Whit Weaver? It was Leonard Weaver. You said
Leonard,
Fred Weaver.
No, Leonard Weaver. Yeah, it was
yeah.
Leonard Weaver. I just knew it was Weaver.
Yeah. Wow, you went with a Fred. Fred's a great name.
I like a good Freddie.
Yeah, you all right?
Yeah. Never
Except
met
for
a
Freddie
Fred.
Galvis.
Oh, Versace's favorite baseball player for some reason.
By the way, he's a really nice guy, Freddie Galvis.
All right. Time now for the brain. Oh, brain. No?
He's not here yet.
Oh, all right. I thought the brain was.
I don't actually know why he's not here yet.
I'm getting his picks ready, cuz. I want to make sure he gets, bounce
Well,
back.
poor. Now, what did he do yesterday? Brain was what, 3-1?
I only played the two. I don't know what his other pick was. I did the two baseball ones, the pitchers, and he was 1-1.
He was. I thought he
He
had
had
one more.
The Cole Reagans. You like that one? Over
Yeah,
6.5 Ks.
That one. Yep.
Royals with minus 1.5 runs. Lance Lynn under
The Royals,
17.5.
KC won, right?
I don't know. I just looked at the strikeout
Find out
number.
right now.
I don't even know.
This is how we watch sports now. You don't even know who won the game.
I know.
You're looking at.
I know he had more than 6 strikeouts.
They won 4-1 over the Marlins.
There you go.
Look at that. He was 2. I thought he was 2-1. But you're walking. It is crazy how we watch games now.
Yeah.
You're just looking at strikeouts. Let me see how many.
I don't even
Reagans
check in on the
have.
game. I was like, oh, he's got like 9 strikeouts. I'm good.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, you're just looking at it like, oh,
That's
wow.
it. Why check in on that
This is
game?
why I can't do fantasy football, because I want to watch the game. I don't want to watch,
You're
what
not
many
watching
yards,
the Royals
who-
Marlins, so you're not tuning in for that.
I mean, nah.
You
probably
don't do
not.
any fantasy football?
I quit maybe 4 years ago because I just hated how I was watching football. I just want to enjoy the game. I didn't enjoy the game watching fantasy football or doing fantasy football, I should say.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll do it
here. I'll do it here.
I can nerd out with fantasy football. Like the brain. In fact, we'll talk to him about this. The brain is in 200 fantasy football leagues.
That's insane to me.
Like, could you imagine? Right now,
No.
I think it sounds fun, but I don't think I could keep up with.
No, because it's so hard. You got if someone scores, you're happy about it in some leagues. You're miserable about it in some
I
leagues.
don't like that either.
I don't like that.
Right, the opponent I'm playing.
Yeah, I'm in 3 teams, 3 leagues. I try to draft mostly the same players if possible, so I have the same rooting interests on
Right.
Sunday.
Makes it easier for you.
Yeah.
I'll do one here because I like who I work with and I like the camaraderie of it.
Right.
But I can't enjoy the game the same way.
We should do a Gargano show fantasy league.
I'll say this.
I'll do
I've
that.
been in some
Fun.
leagues.
We should do something like
Anthony
that.
is great leading up to end draft night.
Yeah.
Then you kind of zone out.
I do.
He loves the draft and lead up
I
to
love
it.
the draft.
Yeah.
I love the draft, and I love it. Like I got guys I like, get into it. We have a play, but then come 2 weeks into the 3 weeks into the season, waiver wires and keep it like
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
that's where I go. How much time you got?
I do fantasy baseball. It's every day. I love it.
I do the fancy.
I love
Oh
it.
my God.
You know what is fun is the DFS.
Yeah,
The
I
daily-
don't get into much of that.
I like the daily
Yeah.
fantasy.
That wasn't bad either. I
Like
did
for
that one year.
baseball, it's fun.
Yeah.
You're picking.
You're not married to a team.
They're implying in the chat room that JP's a fantasy football loser. They're like, no one who wins their leagues ever quits.
But the thing is, I never won. But Andrew had this,
right then.
Andrew had this conversation before the show today. You won the fantasy football league the 1 year, and
I
you
did.
Put so much time into it.
It literally ruined a relationship that I was in.
Fantasy football?
Fantasy football.
How can it take up that much time?
Dude, I won, and in order to win, you have to sink yourself into it.
I've won multiple times. It's like an hour a week at
All
the
right,
most.
Well, let's talk to. You were in one league.
What are you in a 6-man league?
You're in one league.
I was
Let's
in like a
go.
14-man.
Let's go to the brain. He'll show you how you do it. Plus, he does fairly well on the other side too. The brain.
Brain. Red, the brain finder.
All right, here he is. Now, how many fantasy leagues are you in? Will you be in this year?
Well, again, Anthony, my partner who is, I'm sick. He's critically ill sick. He does like 200. I only do a scant like 35. So I'm
okay.
like, nothing like, well, that's still a lot. But by the way,
35 is still,
Only 35.
it's still a number.
35.
It's still a number. But let me tell you something. I heard you talking about what do you do? I solved the problem when you're talking about, well, you're rooting for some guys, rooting against others because there's too many things. No. All I do is this now. I never look at my opponent until literally the games are done Sunday night. That's it. After Sunday night football's over, then I'll look at see how I'm doing. I will not look at. So if I'm going in
your own teams, the construction,
only
of
my
your
own teams, yeah. And that way, if I'm going against Jalen Hurts, I'll find out that night when the game's over and done with, and I can't be aggravated.
Smart.
It's a great strategy. I used to do it the
I
way
agree.
you did it. And it would anger me, and I'd get, just like you said, I'd get, oh my God, it's overload. Like, what am I going to do here? Oh, I'm going against this guy. I'm going against that guy. I'm rooting for this. No. But when you just don't even look until the games are done, you know who you're rooting for. That never changes. You know, right? You always have your team. You know who you have on your players. But then when you don't have to root against anyone. You can just enjoy the games. And then when the game's over, it's like, all right, what can I do?
So
You can't argue it. It works. Trust me.
Listen, it's brilliant. It's why we come to you. It's absolutely brilliant. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What is what's the average entry fee to one of your leagues? Because you play in a different
Probably
stratosphere, right?
I do anywhere from the lowest I do is 1,500. The highest is 10,000.
The lowest
Actually,
is
the highest I do is 15.
1,500.
15. I 1,500, 15. Actually, 13,000. 13.
No wonder
No,
kids got
it's
Versace
actually, you know
robes.
what? No, I'm sorry. I take that back. I do a $13,000 league, and I'm in partners with other people where we play for one Bitcoin. So that's now about 60,000. So actually, but I'm yeah, that's the entry fee, one Bitcoin. So, but I'm a third entry in that. So I guess that's around 20. I'm a third of that. But
hold on,
we
please
need
time
to
out.
process a bunch of information.
I got to pay for Carson's golf lessons, Anthony.
You're in a league. You're in a fantasy football league that plays for a Bitcoin.
That's the entry fee is a Bitcoin.
That's the entrance.
And what about you? What's determined the price of the Bitcoin at the time of entry?
Correct. Yeah, correct.
So you're looking.
So it's going to be like 60 grand right now. Yeah, it just changes. It fluctuates. Last year the Bitcoin was less. This year it's now more.
So have you? How did you do in the Bitcoin league?
Came in second. Came in second last year.
What's the prize?
I'm going to tell you something. Oh, no, last year it was about 30-some thousand, and I basically made about 4x or close to 4x my money. But here's the thing. Maybe it was 3.5x, something like that. But here's the thing. I'll never forget that. Do you remember when, I don't know if you remember the game, the Monday night game between the Ravens and the 49ers, where Brock Purdy threw like 5 interceptions?
Yes.
The reason I didn't win, I had Brock Purdy. My opponent had Christian McCaffrey. I was up by like 23 points, and Purdy was supposed to outscore McCaffrey. Like McCaffrey scored like 24. Purdy had -1.5, and I lost.
Oh,
that's
my
how
God.
That actually put me in a foul mood. I usually try not to complain. I complained a lot.
That's a bad beat.
Yeah, because Purdy had his worst game.
That's a bad beat.
Yeah, I know, but listen, I still won 2 Bitcoins. But anyway, no. But then I have another piece of advice. You talk about like the DFS, Anthony. I agree with you. Listen, people do their scratch-off lotteries. They go to the Wawa or the 7-Eleven. They have the computer generate their numbers, and it's always, by the way, when you're doing the lottery, you're always getting a bad, mathematical payout. Like if they're supposed to pay you 1,000 to 1, they're paying you 500 to 1. Well, at least if you do the DraftKings or the FanDuel or whatever, first of all, they give you a much better payout. And second of all, you at least get to pick. Like you could do a $2 entry to try to win $1 million. At least you get to pick the players. At least you actually have some say on it, as opposed to just having a computer generate something completely random. I actually have nothing. I think fantasy, the DFS is very fun. And again, if you're looking to have that
do
crazy
the DFS too, like do you have your leagues?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. I did very well last year.
On a given Sunday, so week 1, let's just go to week 1. How many pure lineups, including DFS and your leagues?
Well, it's so funny, Anthony. With the DFS, I went through a 6-stage where because I have all these algorithms, and I was doing like 300 lineups a thing, and I was just taking up so much time, and it was profitable. It was just so much of my time and bandwidth that I just couldn't. I couldn't do it anymore. So now, I was doing it. Now I pick my best lineup, and I enter it and all my stuff. I'm like, hopefully it just wins, and I go in big contests.
So you only enter one lineup.
I only do one. Now I only do one.
That's smart. That's smart. Yeah. That's interesting.
Well, and whether it's, but I used to do a ton, and because what I would basically, and it's funny, I probably would have done. I told myself in like I think it was like 2017, me and my partner, we won the FanDuel Grand Prize Championship for DFS, and we won like the $1 million prize. It was amazing. But I told myself I wanted to do this. I got this algorithm where instead of I was doing all the $20 entries, and one person wins $1 million each week. When I was doing the 300 entries, Anthony, in 4 different weeks, this is out of like 1 million players a week, I had 4 times I came in the top 25. And if I kept doing it, I think I could have won that million again. I really do. Because what it was doing was I was getting every combination. What I mean by that is, let's suppose you're just taking guys you normally wouldn't take. I was doing anything with all different stacks, like of every game. So if there was a random game of 2 teams you wouldn't think would score, but randomly, let's just say a bad quarterback threw for 5 touchdowns. Remember Nick Foles? When he threw 6 touchdowns against the Raiders that day, you wouldn't have thought Nick Foles was right. Like I had like Nick Foles that day, like stacked, and just I never would have done it if I wasn't doing 300 lineups, right? But it gives you a chance to get every possible scenario where you have to win doing stacks and these things because everything's correlated. If you're taking Jalen Hurts, it means A.J. Brown's probably having a good game potentially, right? Or if Jalen Hurts goes for 5 touchdowns, that's sense. A good chance. You want to correlate it.
Your receiver and
exactly. You want to correlate it, and then you could do what's called running it back. Let's suppose if Josh Allen throws for 4 touchdowns and Diggs had 2 of them. Well, maybe if they score 38 points, the team they're playing is going to have a pass, right?
Right.
They're probably going to have to throw the ball. So you run it back with the other opponent's receiver. It's just all strategy correlation over millions of simulations, and that's the way to do it.
How bad?
Yeah, I know. I'm not trying to bore you guys.
My eyes are glossing over with him.
You can blow up somebody's brain. It's awesome, man. I freaking love it.
All math, brother.
I was telling him that your mind and all your because you have all these fantasy lineups, and then God only knows how many bets you would have, and then
It's
how
too
many
many.
season back. Like it's almost a beautiful mind.
Well,
Like,
it's funny. Like when I go to
written
bed
out.
at night, Anthony, like some people are dreaming of like I don't even know what they're dreaming of. I'm always like thinking of my bets, my fantasy lineups, which is that's just the way my brain goes. Not that it's good, not that it's bad, but I don't know. What did you think of that? By the way, the hockey game last night. I thought I had a feeling it was gonna be like a 2-1 Florida
You
game. I
called
thought it
it
was gonna get
yesterday. You
totally
said it would be a
said
low-scoring
2-1.
game.
Yeah, I thought it would be like a 2-1 Florida. But I was rooting for Edmonton. I really was. I felt bad they couldn't quite get it done, but it was a 50-50 game, and Florida just they got it done. But kudos to them. It's such a hard trophy to win.
It
That
is.
sport.
It is the randomness. Like it's just too hard. And,
It's so
and that's
hard.
why with baseball.
So hard.
I was starting the show off today. Like the Phillies win again. I had a buddy of mine, and last night he's like, I got a bad feeling that the Phillies are going to be like the Braves of last year. I'm like, dude, you can't think of like that. Listen, baseball's baseball. You got the best team in with the Dodgers and the Yankees, right? You have this epic Phillies team. You just got to enjoy it and don't think
100%.
about October.
Yeah, exactly. But the bottom line is, look, I don't care if you go 162-0. Okay, obviously no one is, but once the baseball playoffs, it is random, and there is going to be a sense of who wins the close games. It is it's just the way it's the nature of the sport. Unfortunately, again, the worst team in baseball, the Miami Marlins, didn't they beat the Phillies in the series? Or am I misremembering? The Rockies did. Someone who was horrible beat the Phillies 2 out of 3, and the Rockies are going to win like 57 games. That would again in football, an 0-16 team or 0-17 team is not going to beat a Philadelphia Eagles team of 2 years ago when they were 13-3 playing in the Super Bowl. That would never happen. But in baseball, it can. It's just again you can't drive yourself nuts worrying, oh my God, we're going to be the Braves. It's just, listen, hopefully not, but you can't do anything. It's just the way the cookie's going to crumble.
All right. At Brad's Best Bets on Twitter X. Brad'sBestBets.com is how you reach my man. Yesterday you were 2-1. You had Reagan's, who was awesome. You had the Royals -1.5. And then
it's funny.
The shocker was Lance Lynn.
Well, it's interesting. And you could ask Andrew. I texted it because I actually initially had the Phillies in the 5-inning line -0.5 instead of Lance Lynn. And I go, scratch that. I go, which would have won. I go, let's switch it to Lance Lynn. But man, I don't know. Stick with your first instincts.
Yeah. Andrew, next time, give me his first picks.
I'm sorry.
Rethinks it.
Look, Lynn pitched. Look, Lynn pitched a good game. Pitched a good game.
Yeah.
It happens. But look, today it's funny, Anthony. I got a couple more things today. Look, we're going to stick with the Phillies game. Anthony, look, sometimes you just don't have to. The old saying off the adage, "See the ball, hit the ball." Sometimes gambling to me is like that. It's like you can go through and try to analyze things and overanalyze them, but sometimes it's like it's kind of right there. When I see the total in the Phillies-Tigers game today, it was 7.5 under 117 on the Park site. I think that's an under. I have the two leading candidates to win the Cy Young. Literally, they are the two favorites right now. I made this total 7, and again, 7 is the most prevalent number in baseball. Okay, obviously because 1-run games and 4-3, 5-2. It is the most prevalent game that number lands on is 7. I thought the number should be 7. 7.5 is worth that extra half run. Is worth a ton. I like under 7.5 runs with these two pitchers going. I actually bet on the overnight line. I bet under. I like this bet even more, but it's not available anymore. But I bet under 4.5 runs on the 5-inning line, which was a joke. I just thought that was ridiculous. 4.5 on the 5-inning line.
You got two great starters.
Yeah,
it's got that 1-0 after 5 written all over.
Now again, this is a kind of game again when the bullpens get involved, it could turn ugly. But I don't see the 4.5 out there anymore. But unfortunately, I still like under 7.5 runs, Anthony, in the 5-inning line. I'll give you another one. Look, we took Cole Reagans yesterday, right? Laying a 1.5 against the hapless Miami team. I'm going to do it again. Seth Lugo's actually even been better than Cole Reagan. Seth Lugo in 13 of his 16 starts, Anthony, has allowed 0, 1, or 2 runs. He has a 2.4 ERA. He's going against Yanni Chirinos, who's, listen to this, his last 27 innings, the guy's allowed 42 hits. I think in my last 27 innings, I only allowed 40 hits. He's even worse than me. That is a bad ratio. To allow 1.5 hits per inning is more or less unprecedented. You will not. You can look through every single major league pitcher. I don't think you'll find someone who's been that bad, giving up that many hits per inning. So I do think the Royals will score the runs. I talk about, for me to lay a run and a half, Anthony, I got to feel confident I'm scoring 6+ runs, and I got to feel confident I can hold them to two or less, because so many games do land on one. So I laid that, and you could get, I think on the park side, I think it was plus 102. I think you're actually getting a price, Anthony, right now on that. And then this one's more of a legacy bet. It's only 8-7 this year, and his K rate is way down, but it's 51-27 his last 3 years, and he's going against the fourth easiest team to strike out. I wouldn't have done it if the matchup wasn't good. Kevin Gausman, Toronto Blue Jays, over 5.5 strikeouts. Again, only 8-7 this year, but with an abundantly even easy matchup against a team that strikes out in Boston. Again, legacy-wise, this is incredible. It's won 65% the last 3 years. Because it's a good matchup, and it was only laying 103 juice. That was the other key, Anthony. Minus 103. I thought it was worth a bet.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Hey, watch out. The only thing that scares me about big picture with Major League Baseball, the Braves getting Scherzer. Did you see Scherzer came back? And
he's out, but I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna arm wrestle with you here, and I'll tell you why. Why? No, I'm serious. Why is Texas going to trade him? Why?
Well, there was a talk about a fire sale there.
They're 500, dude. This is like the Kyle Tucker. I mean, this is not the Kyle Tucker thing because he's 40 years old, Scherzer. But they're what are they? How many games out of the playoffs are they?
I just read a whole thing. Jeff Passan talking about they're going to have a fire sale. Listen.
Again, they won the World Series. I don't
know what the Texas Rangers' long-term thinking is.
Right.
I'm just looking at it like if they have a fire sale, right. Scherzer would be the guy that you would mortgage because you're going to get a high price for him.
I got to tell you something, Anthony, which is interesting. I think the Braves are struggling more offensively than they are pitching wise. Do you know what's interesting? I looked up today. They're only 15th in the runs.
Is a big deal.
They're only 15th in runs scored. Think about that. They were first by a zillion miles last year. 15th in runs scored. Now they lose Acuna. I actually think they need more hitting than pitching. Morton's still been good for them.
Well,
Lopez,
I don't like Morton.
He's so a solid vet. He's not Joe Blanton. He's not Lance Lynn. He's still above average.
3-4.
Okay, but fine. Ronaldo Lopez has a 1-something ERA. Chris Sale's been dominant.
Listen,
Max Fried. And what about Sale? Sale's. Let's look at Sale. Sale's been the second best starter in the National League.
Here's the thing about their lineup. Laureano, Kalenic.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Duval's 1,000.
He stinks.
Yeah.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So if they got Scherzer, of course it would help.
No, I'm just talking about in general. That's what Atlanta's going to wind up doing. They're going to try to go after maybe another bat, maybe a big name starter to come at you. Because right now, if you look at their rotation, you got Sale. You trust great. Lopez as a.
I mean, look. I can't say that I trust him. You know what he is? I'll tell you exactly what he is. If you're being fair about it, it's like, do you trust Ranger Suarez? They're guys that are kind of. Wait.
Listen, we're out of time.
Okay, all right.
We'll argue.
I'm actually going to be. I'm going to see. Are you going to be there later? I'm going to be in. I got to pick up.
I have a meeting today. I'm not going to be. I was so upset because your son told us.
Yeah.
About that you were coming. I was like so excited too. I was hoping you were coming early to do the segment in person.
Oh, that would have been great. One of these days, man. One of these days, I would love to do it with all three of you guys.
Because I love talking sports with you. Forget about the gambling stuff. Your sports stuff is great.
I love it, man.
You're the best.
All right, well, listen. Good luck, man. I will see you. Oh, wait. Is tomorrow, Anthony? You know what? I will not be on tomorrow. I'm going to Oregon to play golf. So I will not be, but I will be. I know, but that's all right. Don't bust my balls too bad here. I'll be back Thursday and Friday. I'll be waking up at the crack of dawn to be on your show.
I love it, dude. That's fantastic. We love you, buddy.
All right.
And by the way, Carson said something good today.
Oh, whoa.
Versace.
Pigs are now flying. What do you say?
What did he say? He said something. We gave him a point.
We did give him a point. What was it, Versace?
We gave him a point.
He'll get a -2 before the end of the day. I'm not worried.
Aaron Nola, the better brother.
Yeah, he said we got the better brother. We were talking about how we have the bad brother, and Versace said, "Look, we got the better brother with the Nola family."
Yeah, the catcher.
What's point?
Yeah, wait. What's the other cat? What's the catcher's name again? Nola.
Alston Nola.
Yeah, Austin. Is he even still playing?
I don't know. I haven't seen him in a while.
Versace
the
needs
better
to work
brother.
on his push-ups, Brad. He did 50 push-ups in here yesterday.
Hey, listen, it was a great effort. We had him do 50 push-ups.
He did it?
Like, I would only give him credit for
Yes.
like 27 of them, but he did a nice effort.
In my prime, the most I got in a row was 86 in a row.
All
That was
right.
when I was in good shape. That was when I was in
good.
good shape.
That's
Back
good.
in the day.
I like it.
19 years old, you got to do more. You got to do 50 clean. Come on.
Yeah, I'm with you. Because I think Mia, could you do 50? Mia could do it. You're close. My niece Mia.
She could.
We have dueling interns. My niece and your son.
I'll take me over Carson doing the push-ups. Laying minus 3.5.
Oh, man.
You're the best, brother. Love you,
Take
man.
care. I'll see ya. Be good.
See you, pal. The Brain. Check it in. Brought to us by the Bet Parks Sportsbook and Casino app. Let's talk about Parks Casino for a second, shall we? Parks Casino, Ben Salem Street Road. Perfect for after-work get-togethers. How about a date night? How about girls' night out? You can sip on tantalizing drinks, soak up those warmer weather, good vibes. Right now at Parks Casino, this is how you win, all right? Here's the deal. Parks Casino offers an epic $5 happy hour, great food and drink every Wednesday through Sunday. So tomorrow, think about that. Thursday, Friday, that Liberty Bell Gastro Pub is popping. $5 drafts of Forge Stout, Victory Seasonal, or how about some Parks Pills? Enjoy $5 glasses of Albertoni Cabernet. Enjoy the drink of summer. $5 Twisted Tea, Frozen Whiskey, Arnold Palmer's. Plus, you can feast on flavor-packed $5 small plates of braised short rib sliders. That sounds delicious, VG. Hot honey chicken sliders or rotisserie chicken flatbreads. The all-new Parks Casino Epic $5 happy hour happening right now. Summer's approaching. Summer's here. And all roads lead to Parks Casino, number one casino in Pennsylvania. 3,200 state-of-the-art slots, 115 live table games, beautiful poker room, sports book, collection of award-winning restaurants. Check out Joe Conklin's Comedy Night Thursdays. You got to love that. The best cover bands every weekend, only at 360 Lounge. Headliners every weekend at the 1,500-seat Excite Center. Just announced Tiffany Haddish on September 27th. Ticket for all shows, go to parkscasino.com. Got to be 21. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And I got advice for you for dinner. That would be Primo Hoagies. Come on. Nobody wants to cook right now, so you want to go to Primo's. The beauty about Primo's is that we have all the eclectic group of people here. But Primo's will satisfy everybody. All your discerning tastes. Do you like classic, like ham, turkey, the Italian? Do you like spice, like the Diablos? You got it all. Meatball sandwiches and chicken parm sandwiches and chicken cutlet sandwiches with broccoli rabe, like all the great stuff made on that incredible seeded roll, baked fresh in-store every couple hours. You cannot beat Primo Hoagies. Plus, they have all the desserts, all the snacks, the pickies, the pepper shooters, and pepperoni and cheese. It's the best. And now nobody wants to put the stove on, right? You go cool with the hoagie. And remember, you go to primohoagies.com, you're going to say it's not just a hoagie. It's a Primo. All right. Our 10 o'clock hour is brought to you by Rite Aid, your neighborhood pharmacy. Get all of your scripts at Rite Aid, all your goods, anything you need. You know, snacks. They got their own snack line. How about the snacks they brought in?
Oh,
You
love
like
it.
all the candies?
I like the banana chews. I know it's not too popular, everyone, but I love those banana ones.
You like the bananas?
Oh yeah, the banana gummies.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
They
I
got, some,
see
they
that.
got some cinnamon saucers or something out there
I'm a
that are
big
real
cinnamon
tasty.
guy.
I know Vince is our man Vinny. He loves the gummies. He's a gummy. He's like a gummy
He's a sugar
man.
guy.
Yeah.
Big sugar guy.
Big sugar man.
Well, you know me, I'm always trying to watch the LB, so
Yeah.
I try to stay away from the gummies. But we got the popcorn, which is fantastic.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
popcorn's
the
good.
popcorn
The
was
popcorn.
slamming.
Right
Yeah,
in popcorn.
I'm with
Very
you.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with it. That the movie theater butter popcorn.
Oh, yeah. It's the best. I think it's named LO. Is that the name of it? LO?
Yeah. Classic. All right. So let me ask you a question. We got with us from our all PHLY Sixers show. I'm very excited because the draft is tomorrow night, and I want to get into a whole discussion about the process. So joining us right now, he is terrific. What I love about him is that he's another one of these brain people, right? He thinks through the roster. He looks into the rules. He understands that piece of it like no other. Our buddy Derek Bodner. Derek, good morning.
Morning.
So let's talk. First thing that pops out is now there's a lot of reports saying that the Sixers may not want to sign Paul George, but maybe it'll be a sign and trade for Paul George. What's the benefits, Derek?
Well, I think from the Sixers' perspective, they would probably prefer to sign Paul George outright. I think what's going on here is Paul George probably wants to opt into that final year of that contract and then get either extended or traded, then eventually extended. From the Clippers' perspective, they want to do a sign and trade or an opt-in and trade so that they can get some assets back. I think it's probably Paul George and the Clippers who want Paul George to opt in, not so much the Sixers. The downside for the Sixers is there's two downsides. First, any other team can go out there and pursue him now. It's not limited to just teams who have cap space. So there's going to be a wider market for him and so more competition for his services. And the downside is you're going to have to give up assets now. And we will see exactly what that means if the Sixers are really in the running. But I think Paul George opting in, quite frankly, is a pretty good blow for the Sixers. Pretty big blow.
So is the idea, because there was also the Shams report that the Sixers had lost some steam, some interest. Is that due directly because of that, or are their eyes wandering?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think the Sixers' evaluation of Paul George and how he would fit on the roster has changed at all. They have known who Paul George is for quite some time, and he was at the top of their list for quite some time. I think probably what's happened is they now believe that he is going to opt in, whereas maybe before they thought they had a chance to sign him outright, and because he's going to opt in, that, like I said, that changes the equation. Maybe they're not as confident that he will choose them because there is that wider market, like I said, or maybe they're just not comfortable giving up what they would have to give up in a trade to acquire him, and because of that, their interest has shifted maybe to trying to get something done here tomorrow night. But like I said, I don't think it's like their interest in Paul George has changed. It's just circumstances around it. They probably feel a little less confident because of that. They might feel compelled to act sooner rather than wait for him to hit the market.
Does that thrust Jimmy Butler back into the forefront?
It could. There's been some mixed reporting on, whether or not he would be at the top of their list. Obviously he is a player who there is, some aging concerns, some injury concerns, whatnot. Certainly, I don't think the Heat right now are super willing to give him that 2-year extension that he wants. It seemed like the Sixers' interest in Jimmy was higher a month ago when all of this sort of started. Like I said, there have been some reports, some chatter that they are cooling on him a little bit. I always don't necessarily believe or buy or fully trust reports at this time of year. Everybody is lying, quite frankly. So we will see. But I think they are super interested in a high impact wing. And there just aren't that many on the market. So, yeah, I think he's certainly in play.
Give me a couple of other targets that we should keep an eye out, potential targets that they could be looking at.
Yeah, I mean, I think the obvious next one is Brandon Ingram. The benefit of him is he is younger. He is under a good contract. I think he's right around $36 million or so. Because of that, you would get some more flexibility in terms of going out there and being aggressive either in free agency, using the remaining or cap space to acquire somebody in a trade. I think he would be pretty close to the top. He has been in more of a shot creation role where he's running a lot of the offense over the past couple of years. The hope is that maybe he would buy back into being more of a high volume 3-point shooter. He's been pretty good shooting from the corners off the catch. Hasn't really been his role the last couple of years, but I think the hope would be that he would buy back into it. I think he is the very next logical name. OG Anunoby is another name that's going to come up a lot. I still think, even though there's been some doubt cast upon that over the last couple of weeks, I think for the most part, people still believe he is going to end up back in New York. There's been that connection from the get-go. His agent is Leon Rose's son. You imagine that they've been on the same page for a long time. But then again, most people expect this to be done. Most people expect this to be a Siakam situation where he would sign right when they had the opportunity to do so. So it's surprising that it hasn't happened yet. And I think that's left some people thinking it may be possible. But I still think odds are he's going to end up back in New York.
Now that next tier, you guys were talking about it on the All PHLY Sixers show. Caruso was seemingly a target. He gets moved. What so to fill out this roster? Like again, we're talking about you got Maxey and you got Embiid, and then you got to fill this whole thing out. So what are other like kind of next level, next tier kind of guys should we be looking at?
Yeah, that's sort of the problem. There just aren't that many. And this is a pretty weak, besides being a pretty weak draft, and I'd push back on that. I think it's mostly weak at the top of the draft, not so much in the middle of the draft. It's also a pretty weak free agency class. So I think what you're going to end up is a lot of people are going to talk about like, well, who can they pursue in a trade? Because there is a new collective bargaining agreement that came into effect last year. There's going to be a lot of teams, I think, looking to shed salary. So who in that salary are teams not looking to keep? It's tough because you don't truly know who's on the market. Um, it could end up being. I still think that next year, if the Sixers do strike out, I don't trust that Daryl Morey can go out there and try to necessarily build a team of role players. I think he's going to try to sign a couple of guys to pretty big short-term contracts and try to be aggressive the next time a star becomes available. That's sort of been his MO throughout his career. So that would be like giving a short-term deal with more money than you're probably comfortable with to someone like uh, Batum, just so you can have him flexibility trade wise. But I guess like one name I'd throw out there, maybe someone like Najee Marshall in free agency, someone of that ilk. But that's not going to be a needle mover. But then again, like if you do go out and sign a big name free agent, let's say someone in the $49 million per year range, you would have about $15 million left. $15 million in today's NBA doesn't get you a big needle mover. It gets you someone like Najee Marshall. It gets you someone, maybe like $8 million for Kelly Oubre. You're talking about that level of free agent, not a household name, not somebody that you think is going to be an impact player. So that's what you're looking at as a second piece.
And definitely, as far as the bigger pieces, marketing is not going to be on the market.
There's no indication that he's on the market. He'd be a almost perfect fit because of his high volume shooting, his age, his upside, his contract situation.
Dude, he's my number one,
enough.
Derek.
He'd be fantastic.
He's the guy I coveted the most. I think he's the perfect fit for them.
He's a really good fit. Unfortunately, there's almost no indication that he is available whatsoever. Surprises happen, and Danny Ainge maybe keeps things close to the vest sometimes, or at least until he doesn't make the trade. But there's been no indication. I'd love to get your hopes up, but I can't do it.
Yeah, that's my biggest fear. My biggest, it was my biggest one. I mean, it feels like there's no chance. So I completely get you. Let's talk big picture for a second because, we're however you define the process, it's all semantics. When it first started, were you? I know you're how you felt about it because I agreed with you 100%. But diving deep, we could all look at the obvious mistakes that were made, misjudgments, miscalculations. What were some beneath the surface that you thought were, kind of pushed them? What went wrong, I should say?
Oh, well, there's so many. And I feel like nothing's really beneath the surface just because everything's been dissected and discussed so much. Honestly, I think the really biggest pivot point, the really biggest mistake was when the Colangelo situation happened and they put in this structure of having 5 guys essentially in charge and a power structure that was, I think clearly undefined and everybody was vying for say. And because of that lack of structure, I don't think they made very good decisions. And, Elton Brand, who's still on the still with the team, he was sort of put at the top, but I don't think anybody really believes he had either final say or even, quite frankly, the most influence in that group. But Josh Harris, for whatever reason, enabled a structure where it was very murky on whether Elton, whether a number of people underneath Colangelo in that front office, or even a couple of owners had the biggest influence at, quite frankly, possibly the most crucial time in the Joel Embiid era. When you had, cap space to go out there, they had a meeting with LeBron that year. They ended up acquiring Tobias Harris, acquiring Jimmy Butler, eventually extending Tobias Harris, and trading away Mikal Bridges. All of that happened in the span of a year, and at a time where you either had Elton Brand as a figurehead of a front office, or you had Elton Brand with about a year and a half total of front office experience leading an organization. Either way, either decision is a complete disaster of a decision from the ownership group. And that to me is I don't want to say it's under the radar because it's dissected quite a bit. But that's the one that if I were a fan would really piss me off. because that was very preventable. They should have gone out there and had real structure, and they didn't.
Yeah, and if you look at Brett had a lot to say
Yep.
in that spot, and
David
from
Heller,
what
there's
I
been a whole bunch.
understand,
Yep.
what's that, buddy?
I was just saying David Heller too.
Yeah.
One of the minority owners had a huge say.
Yeah, like one of the biggest issues again was when you go to Jimmy. Jimmy did not like Brett, and there was that was a big problem because that precipitated the ownership taking kind of Brett's side on that, and then you're forced to give Tobias the max because the minute it goes sideways with Jimmy, that's when Tobias, his father's like, listen, you got to give us the max, and they have to save face.
Yeah. And there was also, like, I don't think it was just Brett, because quite frankly, there is almost no front office that is going to pick a coach over a star player. Star players are just more valuable. It was also Ben Simmons. For the most part, people in that front office did not believe that Ben Simmons and Jimmy Butler were going to be happy together long term. They were making it work right then, but both of them wanted the ball. And they were going through scenarios on how they could try to keep both happy. There was just not confidence they were able to do so, and they picked Ben. And it was understandable at the time. Like, this is a guy who was coming off of an all-star season. I think he made all defensive team that year. He was 22 or whatever it was. But if they make the right decision there and the right evaluation there, and if you're talking about an under-discussed one, I think there's a lot of attention paid to whether or not Ben Simmons was the right selection in that draft, in part because we're now talking about Brandon Ingram, bringing him back all these years later. But I think a bigger thing is when you had Ben Simmons in Camden for a couple of years, and you had a chance to sit down and figure out what made him tick. There was a lot of time there between when it eventually went downhill and when you drafted him, where you could have made the evaluation, hey, look, we don't think this guy's going to reach his upside. He doesn't have the mental makeup to reach his upside. He's not improving his game. You could have traded him while he still had immense value. Like, one of the hypotheticals I always bring up, like, could you have traded him for a draft pick that would have landed you like Luka Doncic? I don't think it was impossible. His value at one point was really, really high. And, ignore drafting him in the first place. If you had just traded him before his value ran to pretty much nothing, you could have completely salvaged this era and put you in a different spot, but they didn't. And that's really my takeaway with.
It's so interesting because, like, to me, like, I'll never look at it in revisionist history and say, like, you shouldn't have taken Ben Simmons, because the whole idea was you saw him and at 6'11", and he was still growing with that handle and that length to play defense and his court vision, like, those were tangible, like, oh my God, they made you salivate, right? You're right about the mental makeup. I mean, ultimately, and I never understood this from his perspective, like, if you just drove to the basket, like, constantly attack the rim, he never wanted to attack the rim because he didn't want to go to the line and he didn't want to shoot free throws. Like, and ultimately, that's what derailed any sort of his offensive game. Because if he just went down and flushed it and attacked the rim, he becomes a much better player, a much more dominant player.
Much better player. And his complete lack of confidence and the drop in confidence, because he was more willing to attack early on in his career. He went backwards in terms of his confidence in the jumper, confidence in the free throw. It was devastating. And like I said, it's one thing to draft him because he did have incredible physical tools. I even push back on love for the game, because people who don't care about the game don't buy in that much defensively. But there was no team, no group of people in the world who had a chance to evaluate whether or not he had the confidence, the mental makeup, whatever you want to call it, to take that next step. And there was no people that were in a better spot to predict what would have happened than the people who saw him every day, and they just didn't. And there were so many of those instances where they could have pivoted in one direction or another, whether that's Markelle, whether that's Bridges, whether that's Ben, and they just seem to miss on every one of them, and it's infuriating. That's why when some people will get on Joel Embiid and the lack of success, and look, we've discussed Joel Embiid and the lack of playoff success all the time. There are certainly some very valid criticisms, but his second best player was Ben Simmons for a long time. His third best was Tobias Harris, and that's just not good enough. And it's not good enough because they made mistake after mistake after mistake over a 5 or so year stretch that they're still paying for. And luckily, Tyrese Maxey, they got that one right, and he's breathed some life into the second half of Joel Embiid's prime. And we'll see whether or not Daryl Morey over the next month or so can make the most of it. But they miss so many opportunities. It's infuriating.
Well, and the other one, like you mentioned, Fultz. Like, listen, I get from an optic standpoint when he was coming out of Washington that you were like, all right, let's try to get a secondary ball handler that could shoot a little bit next to Simmons, and it made sense, right? Until you had to sit down with the kid. Like, what the biggest mistake Colangelo makes is, kind of he doubled down on Fultz after he sat with him. Like, the minute you sit with this kid, you go, he's really immature. Like, that was the surprising, decision that you go, let me double down on Fultz after that.
Yeah, and again, I like you. I agreed with the theory behind it. Like they needed someone who can come off of a pick and roll, high ball screen, create out of that set. That was not Ben Simmons' game. If that would have translated, then I think they would have been a really good pairing. But at some point, you have to get the mental evaluation right as well, and they just missed time and time again. And I remember talking to people with Boston. Obviously, Boston traded out of that number one pick. They're like, "Look, would we have predicted what happened? No." But like you said, there was just something off. There was a maturity level. There was too many people necessarily around him in his personal life and in his training life. And then there was a changing jump shot, which it changed more after they drafted. It was starting to change in the pre-draft process as well. So I think there were some red flags. They ignored those red flags. Because of it, they wasted a prime opportunity. But again, I liked Markelle. I understood it. But at some point, part of the game isn't just evaluating talent, it's evaluating people. And that Colangelo regime just missed every time. Every time.
It's unbelievable. And then, like, it's funny because you go back to Sam and you go back to Hinkie, and there was, I think ownership started to get queasy, and not because I remember Sam talking about how Sam wanted to continue to build the assets. Because, like, if you're in this spot, why not, go forward and sacrifice another year or two to keep accruing assets? And I remember Sam wanting to do that and ownership getting a little bit tired of the process.
Yeah. Well, look, you're nothing without a superstar level player. When Joel Embiid got on the floor, would Sam have changed his approach? I'm sure, in part because when Joel Embiid stepped on the floor, they became at least competitive basketball team, almost by himself.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they would have changed their approach pretty quickly. I don't think Hinkie wanted to go forward until they knew they had a guy to build around, and hopefully then the assets to get a couple more guys to build around, and they did. They ended up with back-to-back number one overall picks in consecutive years. We just talked about them. They pissed them away. But I think, certainly, I don't think Hinkie had any interest in moving forward just to move forward. He had to move forward with a building block that he was comfortable with. Unfortunately, Joel Embiid required that second surgery on his foot, which was not expected at the time they drafted him. Because of that, we never got to see Hinkie try to build a team. I have no idea if he could have, but I think eventually he would have, because his goal wasn't to be in purgatory forever. It was to build around a superstar. That superstar just never took foot before he was gone.
It was a shame too. The other bad luck was Okafor. The Okafor, and that was more of a product of bad luck with the draft. Sometimes the draft that's there isn't necessarily the best draft for you.
Yep. Yeah, and that was a tough one too, because like it's tough because everyone wants to know about like Porzingis, because Porzingis obviously became a pretty big success.
And he didn't want to come here.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think that was like Okafor didn't work out for the Sixers either. I don't think that really stopped them. I think what stopped them was they didn't have, because at that point that was, I guess, about 4 months before Jerry Colangelo brought in, and they were getting low on the ability to take swings on prospects that wouldn't work out in a short-term basis. So I don't think anybody expected Porzingis to be that good that quickly. And because of that, I'm not sure they felt like they had the job security, quite frankly, to make that selection, because that was, after like 6 months after trading away Michael Carter-Williams. I'm not sure they necessarily had Porzingis rated higher, but I also know they were starting to lose flexibility. And we can see that through front offices around the league. When you start worrying about your job security, you make different decisions. And sometimes those decisions, like with the Chicago Bulls over the last couple of years, don't really make basketball sense, but you're trying to keep their job. I think that was the first time they started feeling pressure of like their rope might be shortening a little bit. But to your point, there also just weren't, outside of Porzingis, there just weren't that many good players in that spot. And I think they really thought D'Lo was going to fall.
Hey, Derek, I just had a question. You know the cap and cap implications better than anyone. If you are Daryl Morey, what are like and you can do any moves that you want to think you think makes sense. What are your 3 moves that you would make going into the season?
That's a good question. I'm still a Paul George guy. I think of the options available, none of them are perfect. But I think that is the one that I'm most comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly don't love the contract and where that would leave them. But I also think it might not matter at this point. My pivot would be Brandon Ingram. That is where I would probably go next. Like I said, I think having the extra cap space and flexibility to do that would really be beneficial. And I think this is a situation now where if you want to build a team, because after the Sixers, let's say after the Sixers sign a max free agent, they would have about 15 million to work with, but with Brandon Ingram, they would have more like 28 million to work with. I think that can be significant. And like I said, I don't necessarily have a great name for you because I think it's going to have to be a trade. I don't think there's really anyone in free agency
Has
that
to
you're
be
going to be like,
trade.
I
Yeah.
want to go out there and pay $28 million to. So it's tough to give you a direct name because it depends who's going to end up being on the market. Frankly, Caruso would have been at the top of the list, in part because he only makes $9 million, in part because
Yeah.
as a defensive-minded guard, he would have been perfect next to Maxey. Unfortunately, the Bulls made a completely mind-boggling trade, trading him for Josh Giddey. I don't get that at all. He's a worse basketball player than Caruso. He's got the off-the-court concerns that are massive and should not be overlooked. And you're going to have to give him a pretty big contract in a year, too. And they didn't even get a first-round pick back from a team that has more first-round picks than any team in the history of the sport. It was a baffling trade, but that was a guy I would have targeted. In terms of second options, like I said, it's tough because I think it's going to have to be a trade.
Would you have any interest in Zach LaVine?
Pretty much none, no. In part because that contract is massive and I think really debilitating.
Yeah.
In part because I just don't necessarily love the way he plays the game, and I don't love his buy-in defensively. I like his skill set quite a lot.
His lack of defensive care is a real problem next to Maxey.
Yeah.
The two of them together, man, that's tough, man. That's tough to have those two next to each other.
No, it would be real tough defensively, and if he's not going to have the ball enough to warrant, to get the shots that he's used to, is he going to buy in even less? Is his defensive effort going to be worse? I have very little interest. The combination of the contract and the fact that I just don't like the fit at all, and I just don't love the way he plays the game.
Hey, Derek, Matt in the chat room has a question I think we all could use some help with. Why should I be hopeful, Derek?
Because you have Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. That's really the reason. And look, I know that it's been frustrating because the Sixers have never gotten past that second round. For the most part, this was the first year with Tyrese Maxey as the lead perimeter guy. And I think he showed you, even though they didn't advance, I think what he showed you late in games in that series, outside of a brief time with Jimmy Butler, I don't think you ever had anybody who you really trusted late in the game with the ball in his hands like you do Tyrese Maxey. I think Joel Embiid has always sort of needed that guy with him. Perhaps even more so, I think Joel Embiid has always needed a guy he trusted to the level he trusts Tyrese Maxey alongside of him. I do think this is a partnership that can grow and grow at a very high level, but they need more help. So, I think the core is actually, I believe in Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey as a pair more than I did 6 months ago, even though they lost in the first round. Now you just have to make 2 or 3 really good moves to surround them with pieces. And look, you're not going to end up with a team like Boston. Boston, with the way they've constructed their depth, is unique and edge case. I don't think really possible in this new collective bargaining agreement, but you need better players than you currently have. You can't have Kelly Oubre be your third best player. They certainly have an opportunity to go out there and do it. If they, like I said, I don't think you need to hit 3 home runs, but if you can hit 3 doubles over the next 9 months, then I think you have a chance to compete. Maybe not with Boston. I think Boston is going to have struggles to keep that core around long term, but I do think they will keep them around next year and be the prohibitive favorite because of it. But I think if you make 3 doubles, you have a chance to be really good.
Yeah, I would agree. The other thing where we're going through the painful process is they're at they're accruing assets at the time of the European explosion, and they never got a dramatic year. I know Dario was the closest thing, but they couldn't land one of the foreign players. And there was a handful, man, we talk about Giannis and all those guys. It's a shame. That's the biggest regret is you couldn't pull mine a Euro that could make a big difference.
Are you trying to say Anhes Pasechniks was not good enough? He does not qualify for you? No, and that's sort of the problem with Colangelo too. Like he brought in, like his reputation was that he was really in tune with
Yes.
those market. Bargnani obviously being one of the guys that he drafted #1 overall. They tried. They used a couple draft picks.
Yeah.
Tente Luau Cabarro, Furkan Korkmaz. They're late picks, so you don't expect too much out of them. But they tried. They just never did it.
I know, man. It's so interesting. I love just batting this stuff around with you. Great stuff. So, in your eyes, you think it's 99% they trade that pick tomorrow night?
99 might be a little high, but it was. I would say the percent starts in the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my. I said that because there's no way they're going to use that. You don't have enough assets. You have to trade that pick. So
you have to trade the pick, and you also, like I said, there's, without going too cap nerdy, if you use a full max contract, you have about $15 million left in space. The mid-level exception is $12 million. You want to have more buying power than the mid-level exception because very few teams will. So I think you don't let that that first round draft pick, which would eat about $4 million of cap space, that would limit what you can do with your next move. So I think they will trade it. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Great stuff, man. You are. It's going to be a very interesting night tomorrow night for the Sixers, and all eyes on our all PHLY Sixers show. Derek Bodner, thanks, brother.
Yep, thank you.
Here he is, Derek and Kyle Newbeck and Devon Givens. They do such a great job, man.
Big week for them.
Yeah, going through those mistakes. Yeah. Oh, it's torture, man. And I used to do the mental gymnastics, trying to convince myself, all right, this is great. Like, Fultz is going to work out. The minute you saw him interviewed, you're like, oh, no.
What is the Chick-fil-A? It's just everything about him.
It was so... I mean,
he was so Pac-12.
Oh, my God.
BMX bikes.
And we hate it. It was like, never draft a Pac-12 football player.
Yes.
And then the whole thing. Oh, my God.
He got burned twice. Was it the Sydney guy, the cornerback?
Sidney
Jones.
Yeah.
It felt like they were like right after one another.
Yes.
J.J. Arcega-Whiteside.
Oh, Stanford. Oh, it was horrible.
You guys don't watch the Pac-12 late night.
Oh, I love the Pac-12. It was terrible. Stay away from the Pac-12. Oh, my God. All right. I'll give you my one coming up next, but tell us about what's happening. All PHLY. Speaking of Derek and Kyle and Devon, big draft party.
Big week for all of us here. But let's first talk about TrueMark Financial, guys, because we're talking about trust, all right? We're obviously talking about trust in the process, but one process you can trust is the credit union process there, and that's why we're talking about TrueMark, guys, all right? And for all my families out there, all right, especially my parents with the kids, listen, budgeting your kids is important, all right? You want to teach them financial literacy, and that's what TrueMark Financial is trying to bring to you here in 2024. Budget for kids, sports activities, and TrueMark Financial's money management tool in their online banking and mobile app. Managing family finances includes budgeting for kids' sports leagues. Create a separate budget category for sports expenses to track costs effectively. Involve kids in budget discussions to teach financial responsibility. That's big, guys. Going on a group trip for away games? That's me. It's still easy to keep track of your spending with mobile banking. Mobile banking apps offer convenience for managing finances on the go. Features like card locking provide added security and peace of mind if you lose your card. That's actually happened to me at a game. Thought I lost my credit card. I luckily had the app. I locked it. That's such a useful tool if you ever have to run into that issue, guys. Home equity line of credit, guys. HLOC allows homeowners to borrow against home equity with variable interest rates, preserve your savings, and get across the funds as needed for big renovations, education expenses, or emergencies. TrueMark Financial is federally insured by the NCUA and is an equal opportunity lender. For more information, please visit truemark.com/PHLY or visit their 24 branches here in the Philadelphia area. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it is currently 10:39 in the morning here on the Anthony Gargano Show. Thank you so much for tuning on in. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button, subscribe as well. Hit that bell button so you can know exactly when all our shows are live here at PHLY Sports. You can also stream it wherever you listen to podcasts as well. Apple, Google, Spotify. Just say, hey, Siri, play the Anthony Gargano Show. Hopefully, Siri's already going to start with me here. So here's what we got on the docket here with PHLY Sports. At 11 a.m. following us, PHLY Phillies. I'm sure they're going to have a lot of fun talking about that 8-1 win last night. At 12 p.m., we have PHLY Eagles. At 1 p.m., we have PHLY Flyers. We had some big news with the Flyers. I'm sure we're going to talk about in just a second. And at 2:30, we have the PHLY 6 team. We just saw Derek Bodner. He'll be live with Derek and Kyle as they'll be getting ready for the NBA draft. And while we're at it, guys, we have, like we talked about, the 2 draft parties, right? Starts off tomorrow. We have the PHLY Sixers draft party at Garage in Fishtown, everyone's favorite spot. 8 p.m. start. Will they trade the pick? You can find out on Wednesday with Kyle, Derek, and Devon. So, and I'll also be there as well. So, Garage Fishtown. We have some Coors Light specials for that. And then on Friday, the Flyers turn. We'll be live at Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia on Packer Ave. All right. It's a combined draft party. It's going to be PHLY Flyers with Broad Street Hockey. It's going to be a lot of fun. Obviously, we all know Chickies Pete's has amazing food, great drink specials as well. And you can find all this on the allphly.com/events. You can see our event calendar. We have a lot of good stuff coming up this summer as well. And that's why you want to make sure you guys become a diehard. All right. Not only do you get exclusive content, right? You get the access to the Discord chats, which is fantastic, but you get the discounts on merch. This is why you want the discounts on merch. We're all getting up over the Mad Russian, right? Well, guys, we still have Mad Russian t-shirts and hoodies that are for sale. So if you are excited for Matvey Michkov coming here, make sure you guys get that swag here at PHLY Sports. That's what we got going on here, cuz.
That Mad Russian, I love that.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great shirt. By the way, so my hope is Ingram. I want Ingram. He's now, listen, I want marketing would be my number one, all right? But I think I want Ingram as my number one over Paul George and over Jimmy Butler.
I agree.
I'm not feeling it.
I mean, I'm not excited about any of it.
I can hear it.
I hate to be this way.
I was fine with PG before the trade stuff. I was like, no, I'm out. I don't want to trade for Paul George.
Well, it's going to cost you a
too.
ton. Again, the idea of Ingram, at least he's a natural wing.
But he's got motor issues.
I know. I hear you. They all got fleas. Jimmy's old, right? Yeah, PG. He's another one. He's also on the older side of it.
Yeah, we need a pop up.
He's popping an Olipop.
I need some fiber and probiotics.
I mean, I think Ingram is the one that I kind of, and like I'm with you. Like
I wish it was a beer. Listen to this.
I know, dude. I don't know what else to say.
How do you feel for a role player? The kid from Washington, Corey Kispert, the forward.
Man,
I mean, dude, it's like
not making anything move.
Like really, like
it's
Corey Kispert.
It's
that's what we're talking about.
And me, my route is the
Corey,
role player.
I don't even know who that is.
Dude,
Is he in the league?
Role player for the Wizards. Yeah,
Look,
dude, he's not doing anything for you.
Oh, Brandon Ingram's going to disappear.
but you have to give him.
They're not even in the same conversation. That's a separate. Kispert's a separate ad. I don't know what else to say other than it's either Paul. It's one of those three, unless there's somebody else.
I take Ingram, and you got to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's been playing on a Pelicans team, so of course your motor's going to be a little stink, you know. So maybe
man in a box makes some sense.
Maybe come to the Sixers. He's young. He's talented. If he can find that
wing,
he's that wing that we've always needed.
Listen, I'm not going to overstate him, right? But he's a wing, and the problem. Listen, Paul George interests me as a sign free agent. Like I go, all right. Like I don't trust him. I got no interest. I mean, Jimmy. I love Jimmy, but at this age, like you're going to have to give him a ton of money.
5 years late,
dude. It's infuriating that this is what we're talking about this far into the
process.
That's
20-minute conversation.
All the money on the book.
That 20-minute conversation with Derek Bodner. All those mistakes, reliving all these mistakes.
That this is what we're talking about. These players.
Like, these are all the mistakes of the drafts, of the signings.
So I was looking up all these moves for Cuz this morning, and I literally wanted to throw up so bad looking at all.
Yeah, well, we had this whole conversation about like going through the process. Tomorrow is the draft. Their team.
Everyone's telling me you're trading it. We're trading it. We're getting all hyped up for nothing to happen.
No. They're going to trade the pick
for a player. Monster. They're going to get a player.
Yes.
Oh, all right.
No, it's a monster trade. Listen to me. Tomorrow's a big day, not for who they draft, but for what they do trade wise.
All right.
Like tomorrow, we're going to be you're on red alert tomorrow.
Yeah, otherwise, who you drafting? Zach Edey?
Southwark did like a piece with an election and the two candidates. It feels like that's what we're talking about.
You'd be like, this coming election?
No, well, basically, it's relevant. I mean, but it feels like the players, the two candidates were.
There's a new thing. I don't know if you saw it, called the double haters. And it's like you hate everybody involved.
That's what it's like with this offseason.
Right.
You can choose between a giant douche and a turd sandwich. That's what we're talking about for these players.
Well,
100%.
this is these players. You go, oh my God. It's why people go, well, you can't give up 5 first-round picks for Laurie marketing. Why not?
At this point.
Why not? If you're going to go all in now, and you got to go all in, you got to trademark. If Danny Ainge's going to hold you up, all right, well, I'll give you what I got. At least marketing makes sense.
Can I play devil's advocate for a second? If you do that trade, 5 first-round picks, Laurie Marketing, whoever you want, and it doesn't work out, what are you looking at for the future?
Dude, what do you look at the future anyway?
Literally.
But like, at least you
I'd rather
have
do
those.
that than Brandon Ingram,
But
to
at
be
least you
honest.
had those picks to like start building up to something.
You're not. How many of these teams try to build through the draft and it just never works? The baby Bulls. The Bulls have had 3 iterations.
I'm not
of
saying the
building
draft.
through the draft.
It's trade bait. You can use those picks to trade for other players that might become free agents or not free agents, but like on the trade block or whatnot.
Again, but if you have a finite period of time with Embiid,
I get it, but this is.
I mean, then
that
you go
finite
back to the
period
other
is-
camp, which is you might as well trade Embiid.
But that finite period is this year and this year alone. You don't do it this year.
It's not this year alone. It's the next 2 years. What is it? Next,
that shelf life is
you
close.
well, he's not going to fall off in 2 years. You have a couple year window with him. This is now. It's now. Like whoever you add this is the final iteration of the Sixers. So either there's a lot of people that go just move them now and get salvage whatever you can get.
I mean, I might be one of those people.
I know you are.
Do you think another problem in the process was that the NBA was evolving while we were going through the process? Like we drafted 3 centers.
Well, you talk about Okafor, yeah.
Yeah, you got Nerlens, Joel, and then Okafor, and then
Noel, like that was another mess.
I was so hyped for Noel too. It was so funny.
You were hyped for
I was
Nerlens
so
Noel?
hyped for Noel. I was like, what, 20? I was 20 years
Yeah,
old. I'm
yeah.
thinking like, and then I heard someone on the radio compare him to KG, and I'm like, yeah, we got a anchor here.
Who did that? It wasn't me on the radio telling you it was KG. I'll tell you that much. My God. All right.
Can we do some good news?
Yes.
Yes.
It's official.
Yes.
I think there's a tweet going around from Russia with a bunch of odd characters. I can't make it out, but Google Translate says that it says forward Matvey Michkov is leaving SKA and will join the NHL Philadelphia Flyers in the offseason. The rights to the hockey player in the KHL are assigned to the St. Petersburg club.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
SKA has made it official.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
got some good news, cuz.
Yeah. No. Well, we
More
thought
and
this.
more.
Well,
More and
I
more.
mean, listen, we did a whole show yesterday on him, so I kind of took it that this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Is that 2-month thing still in play though for the get his visa?
Might be sooner since he's a bigger athlete.
I mean, she works with a firm that specializes
In
in athletes, hockey
2
players,
months is
basketball
fine.
players.
I mean, no, that's great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
But it's Russia.
We're
You
still
never
in
know.
Russia. You could
It
probably
is
still
drop
in
Russia.
a bomb.
They say one thing,
I
We're still
say
in
he's
June.
here by the end of July. That's my prediction.
Okay. Well, dude, who cares? August. Just be ready for camp and
Yeah.
come in.
Be ready for the season.
No, it's going to be exciting. Man. I can't
Yeah.
wait. I'm actually really looking forward to the Flyers. Like
Yeah.
the draft. The
There's
draft. I'm
excitement.
interested in the draft.
This is
I'm more interested in the player. The NBA, I want to trade the pick. The NHL, I want the player.
VG. They can't mess us up worse than what the Sixers did for 6 seasons.
The Flyers can't?
No.
Dude, it's been 50 years since they won
Well,
anything.
listen,
What are you
I-
talking about?
It's funny. In my text friend, I thread with all my friends, right?
Yeah.
And somebody brought up, but it was Boo brought up, dude, he goes, can you believe he was watching the fight. He's like, it's been 50 years since they won. And when you see it like that, you just go 50 years for the Flyers, right? And what is it, 40 for the Sixers? It's 42. 41.
Asking us to do math here?
41 for the Sixers.
Something like that. Yeah, I was talking to
Going
Kate.
on 42.
We were watching Game 7 last night, my girlfriend and I said to her, I was like, we weren't even a thought when the Flyers
Dude,
and
you're
Sixers
talking a
last one.
collective 90+ seasons.
Winter sports are depressing here. Jeez.
Well, I mean, hopefully it starts to change.
Yeah.
All right,
Winter sports are depressing here. Jeez.
Yeah.
You think?
All right, give me some nugs.
People in the chat, there's multiple people who want to know if the cuz knows what Hawk Tua is.
We talked about yesterday.
Yes, I do.
You do? All right, there you go, people.
Well, thanks to you.
Yeah, well, I mean, the people just wanted to know if you know it.
Yeah. I only knew it, like, just so you know, like, I'm officially a dad.
Yeah.
Right? That I'm out on pop culture. Like, I don't know about pop. It's not that I'm out on it. It's that I have no concept of it.
We come
right
every morning. We tell you the pop culture.
You do.
It's hard to follow. There's always something new
No,
every
you guys
2 days.
It's not healthy to follow either.
I'm not the biggest Twitter guy, or Instagram guy, so I'll do my scroll here and there. But I'm still old school ESPN, right, for my sports dudes, and then I'll go the other route. But I didn't know until I saw Bryce do it.
Yeah,
I saw Bryce Harper do it.
Great.
And I'm like, what is that? Like, whatever. I come in Monday, VG is like, dude, you didn't see the girl? Right? and
She's selling merch now. She's got like hats,
I mean,
shirts.
she should take advantage of this.
And it was hysterical. I didn't know until he showed me.
Hey, no, Baldy's looking good these days. He put up a picture thanking the people of the Dominican, I guess, before he went to Florida for the game. Look at this guy's arm looks good.
Yeah, he's back.
Yeah.
Baldy's
Looks like he's
back,
enjoying
man.
some water down there. Hey, has anyone ever had to deal with an HOA association?
Never.
My brother-in-law did.
So I guess there's a good picture going around. He had the HOA was like, hey, you got to put up a fence around your trash cans. We don't like to see your trash cans from the curb. So he did a little wood fence design that gave the old FU to the HOA.
Oh, that's great.
He designed his fence so it looks like a big
That's great.
middle finger with the
That's
middle wooden
awesome.
plastic.
So good.
What a weak fence, too. It's like
Yeah,
5 slats.
Weak fence. That's what you get out of it?
It's like 5 boards. Like, what is
So
that?
what? That's
what
covering
is
it, man.
that doing?
No, he's right.
Have a little
You're
sense of
blocking
humor,
off
Andrew.
half of your driveway, your garage door. Look at that.
I would have put
cuts
the
in.
trash can somewhere else, I think.
You gotta almost swerve around this 5
Let's
fence.
focus. So he's giving an FU to the HOA.
This is what
Honestly,
he's
I
talking
want to do this right now.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't know how people do it. I would not want to live where I'm governed by other people.
Oh yeah.
Some perks.
Like, what's the perks?
I mean, if something breaks down like around the house, they have a lot of those HOAs have responsibility over it.
You don't have to shovel, but my father-in-law was at a place. It was like a big book, like a binder full of
I'm
rules
just
and stuff.
saying, like, these people,
Facebook groups.
you know, like the Florida, like the retirees. My father's in one of those.
Okay.
Like, I would want one. Hey, I don't want to be beholden to a bunch of people who got nothing better to do to get in other people's business.
That I agree with.
I saw the
Seriously.
That I agree with.
I saw the
honestly.
video of this guy, and it was a Ring camera video, and he's trying to get into someone's house, and he's part of the homeowner association. And the lady's
saw
like,
this.
"Oh, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, someone told me that there might be something in your house. I would never, ever want anyone coming into my house if it's locked and I'm not there.
Yeah, dude.
They could take things.
Dude,
they could be looking through my
forget
stuff.
about that. I don't even like people at the door in that sense. You know, like, come
That's
on,
crazy
man.
how much that's changed. Like knocking on the door. I remember my buddy down the street growing up. Like his mom always had the door wide open for everyone to just come in. And now
Well,
you
that
can't
was
do
different.
that.
The pop-in was different. Back in the day, you would just come over the house
Knock
and
the door,
visit
walk
people.
right in. Yeah.
I love the sound of someone knocking on the door for you to come out and play.
Oh, it was the best.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, back in the day,
We're
yeah.
gonna come knock for you.
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
the thing.
It's
I
the
go,
best.
you're gonna go knock for them.
Now they're just texting each other. Yeah,
Or
I'm
they
coming
call
over.
you, like when you had the cord phone and they would call you.
Yeah.
And mom would be like, "Hey, you know, Johnny's on the phone."
no, but they would knock on the door. But back in the day, your relatives would
Oh,
come
yeah.
over. They would bring cakes.
yeah.
Like, I used to like that.
Yeah, but I would like if like knocking your hey, is Anthony home?
Yeah.
Oh wait, you want to come out and
Yeah.
whatever?
It's the
Yeah.
best.
And now you get to
Go play football or
Oh,
something.
Yeah.
he's not around. Oh, you guys can't.
Yeah,
It was
where's
like
he
the
at?
worst. It was so you were so dejected when your buddy had. Oh, I can't. I gotta go to the store.
Yes, yes. You're like, oh, you can't get out of it.
Yeah.
You walk
Now
like the
someone knocks
mile
on
to
your-
their house.
Now someone knocks on your door and you just panic. Like, what's
Yeah,
going
yeah.
on? What do you want? What's happening? Who's here for me?
Well, now it's a text. Because I get a text. If you text me to come out I can't turn it down. It's like you knock on my door.
Right.
So the pagan's like, oh, who knocked on your door every time I get a text? I
that's
put the
cool.
shoes on and be like, I'm going down to the pub. I'm going here. Yeah. Hey, no one spell checked the Philly sign. It's been everywhere in the news, but if you haven't seen it, I think it was on 95. They're trying to spell Central, and they spelled it Sen-Ar-Tol.
I mean,
Philly.
come on, man.
Like a little spell check
it's so
before you send it to the
embarrassing.
printer.
Oh my god.
It's so bad. I mean,
Yeah,
come
that's
on.
bad. It's really bad.
Like, who goes? When you see it?
Yeah.
Who then says, "Oh, all right, let's put it up"?
How many people put eyes on that before they actually mounted it up on there?
It's so embarrassing. It's the height of embarrassment.
Yeah, it really is.
Scotty
I'm
Scheffler.
a big spell guy.
Yeah, me too, man.
I don't like misspellings in text either.
That bothers me as well. I actually hate doing the shorthand, like the
So do I.
THX.
The
I
U?
do it, but
Yeah,
I never
R.
do the U.
I don't like the U.
Yeah,
I
it's
spell
just-
out the YOU. I'm an old man texter. I don't like it.
You put periods at the end?
Yes.
That's bad news.
Oh, that's bad news.
Yes.
Right, Mia?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's ominous. Like if I get a text with a period, I'm like, am I in trouble?
Yeah, it means
Yeah.
you're yelling or you've
Crap
ended the
myself, yeah.
It's
conversation.
very stern. It's a very stern way.
Like my dad has text with like ellipses, and it's so I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah. No
why
periods.
is that? No, but like,
It's so serious. I'm like,
Yeah.
are the cops gonna show up?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
What did I
Cops
do?
to knock on her door.
well,
Never-
let me ask you a
never
question.
period.
If I put 5 exclamation marks, that I could see you going, well, it's a lot.
Yeah,
But if I'm using it, if I'm writing you a paragraph, I put a period.
No.
If it's like the subject matter is serious, then it's like okay, put a period. But if it's like just like random and there's a period, I'm
It's
like,
a-
what's going on?
Yeah.
I mean, stop reading.
No
nonsense.
thumbs up.
Run-on
right?
sentences. No grammar. Just shorten the words. No periods at the end. That's how you text.
Yeah, you know what? Here's my response: bleep you, and I don't care. How about that? F you
Yeah.
with a U. Is that?
There you go. Yep, that's perfect.
Like,
You
I'm
got it
sorry.
all.
I don't care. Like, give me a break.
It's a lot to keep
Like
up.
you're looking up.
It's
look
almost
at it.
like a-
stop making stuff so complicated.
When you type now, when you type things out, do you still do the double space after the period from between sentences?
yes.
Yeah, that's
What do you
boo.
mean
That's-
double? What do you mean
So
double space?
when you end a sentence and you type when you're typing out like in a book or something, you put period, space, start the new sentence.
What?
No, I don't do that.
I
Because
never.
now
I've
it's a
never
one
even knew.
space.
I've always on one.
Yeah, it's
space.
always
No,
been
you
one
had it back
space.
in the day.
No.
Yeah.
You indent in the paragraph.
No, not like in the middle of a paragraph. You always did 2 spaces. That's what you were taught. Because with the typewriter, you couldn't really tell. But
No,
now,
we always did the
Oh.
one space.
Because
See, you were typewriters. I didn't.
Yeah, typewriter.
I didn't
of
touch
course.
those things.
I see
you
the way
emoji
you hunt
guy?
and peck.
What do I emojis? Well, I don't know. Once in a while.
Give a little thumbs up every now and then.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
a
they have
big-
the.
the like.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
the
like that.
Italians,
Yeah, the
yeah.
Italian guy.
Some
hit
people
me.
don't like the thumbs up. They say it's like sarcastic or something.
Yeah.
Can be used sarcastic.
Oh my
See?
god,
See?
this is ridiculous.
The worst though is when they just like when you can like you react to the text and you react with the thumbs.
Right.
Up. Like,
Yes.
I think
Yes.
that's rude. Like if someone
It's
Oh,
rude.
okay.
I think it's fine and good.
They double
So
tap.
we can't hear you, but I got to get you on.
Yeah. Well, she's saying when you react to a text on like iMessage, you can do like a thumbs up, a heart, the ha
That's
ha.
why-
Yeah, or
And people
the
don't
exclamation mark.
What she's saying is the thumbs up is not a
Okay.
good one because if you it feels condescending or like sarcastic,
Okay.
like when you're
Oh,
like,
man, come
like
on,
that's a
sir.
great
But I
job.
can't hear you, so you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just relax. Just everybody relax. Why is it so complicated?
All right.
Get a gummy.
What do you see when you started?
Scotty Scheffler won his 6th tournament this year before July. The first person to do that since 1962, Arnold Palmer. How about that? To change the subject.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever did this when you were playing baseball. The old heads in my neighborhood, if it was raining and it stopped and there was a little water on the field, they would put a little gasoline on it and light it and burn it off.
Wow.
What?
Yeah,
I don't remember
really?
that.
Yeah, so I mean, I got a picture of there's a 1925 World Series, and they did it before Game 7, and it's a huge fire, but they would do it in June. Here's the World Series,
Oh my God. Look at that.
1925.
So wait, you burn water off the
It
field?
was a little soggy and stuff. Yeah, they would have a gas can in like where
Dude.
they have the lawnmowers and stuff. They put a little gas over the moist air, wet areas, and burn it off. Then we could play on it.
That is
Oh
so
my
bad.
God.
That is
Definitely
so
can't do
bad
that
for those
now.
people in the stands. They're just smelling a chemical burn.
Oh my God. I never even knew that.
Different times.
Yeah, man.
The 20s,
That's
baby.
crazy.
Oh my God.
That's at the World Series they did it.
The Roaring 20s.
Yeah. You know who's had a bad string of luck? Corey Perry. Corey Perry is now, I want to get this right. He's the first player in the NHL to lose
the Ducks?
lose 3 consecutive finals with 3 different teams. But now he's lost 4 different teams in the last 5 years.
So who are the Ducks, the Kings?
He won with the Ducks.
The Ducks.
He lost with Dallas in 2020, Montreal 2021, Tampa 2022, and this year with Edmonton.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
He's 1,000 years old.
He's got to be, right?
Yeah,
the Ducks were like
His line mates
2007.
retired like 10 years ago, which is wild.
He's
Yeah,
lost
it's
4
wild.
Stanley Cup finals on 4 different teams within 5 years.
That's wild. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's a
God
great
bless.
nug.
God bless, man.
Paul Skeen's nugs are everywhere. This guy, he's got 60-plus Ks and no losses in his first 8 MLB games, and the only other person to do that is Tanaka.
Wow.
Look at him. Look at the man in the box.
Yeah,
He's got-
yeah,
put
yeah.
yourself
Put
in
your
the
face
box.
up. Put your face up, Andrew.
With Skeens. No, with Skeens.
Whiskey's all right. Give me a second.
Come on. You got to go side by side with Skeens, man,
Let's do it.
to
Let's do
see it. So everybody can see that you are Skeens.
I'm Skeens, yeah.
You're the skeevy Skeens.
Skeevy Skeens.
Skeevy Skeens. I love that.
Don't worry, Andrew. Thursday I'll be back.
All right, you ready? Here we go.
Yeah,
Let me
let's
see.
go.
All right.
Oh, look at that.
You see
Yeah.
it? You see it?
Look at him. Dude, you got Skeens and Skeevy Skeens.
We almost have the same eyes, too.
Oh, Skeevy
Same
Skeens.
smile.
That's awful, man.
Skeens.
Hey, look,
All right, I'm taking this off.
Yeah,
You
all right.
got the same one. All
Since
right,
we're staying
Steve.
ridiculous, here's one more to get out of here.
Yeah.
WrestleMania was here. Apparently, there's a couple Subway Manias going on in New York City. The second one was held a couple weeks ago where they take over Subway cars and do wrestling matches. They had a table here. They're
that's
jumping on
awesome,
tables. They
dude.
got referees. They have commentators.
Awesome.
Wow.
So, yeah,
All
I went to
right.
my second ever Subway Mania in New York City. That's what we got today.
I love it. Great stuff, as always. All right. Tomorrow, NBA draft. Tim Legler will join us to kind of go
Legs.
through it all.
Legs.
All right.
Like
Phillies tonight, must watch. Schoolball Ranger.
Going to be a good one.
Great pitching
Ranger.
matchup. It'll be
I'm surprised it's a 7.5 run total.
yeah.
I thought 6.5 it would come out.
Yeah. You're right on. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging. As always, I promise I will not use periods at the end of my text.
Thumbs ups.
Less periods, more emojis, cause.
Crazy. All right. Have a great day. We love you guys. Be safe. See you in the morning.
We all silly like the mayor.